Hello and welcome to the third session of Cybersecurity India Training and Internship Program. Thank you very much everyone for joining. And so I will what I should say from India, and there are different people from different time zones. So again, thank you very much for joining this Saturday. So today we have a session on recon, which will be taken by empaneled speaker, Mr. Hosfare. So before going to the session, I would like to discuss a few things here in this session. Last two sessions, so there are a lot of queries which are coming on Telegram channel, chat, and I am here to address that. So there are a lot of queries which are coming related to the attendance, related to the assignments, and what if you miss the session. So let me tell you, whichever sessions are possible to record, we are recording and we are keeping it on YouTube channel. So the YouTube channel goes by the name Nikhil Mahadeshwar, and as you are live on giving this live on this channel only. Whichever sessions are recorded and kept live, you can obviously access that. Now let us talk about the attendance. So attendance is marked. So the attendance is marked on the basis of quiz. The quiz is active only for basically 20 minutes after the session is complete. It is only for the people who are listening and attending the complete session. You are not allowed to copy that link and paste it somewhere in some unofficial group or in some Telegram chat or channel and to your friends. If we find so, we keep the right to eliminate that user, and everything is mentioned in the rules and the regulation. So that is number one. Talking about talking about the quiz. Once you submit the quiz, your attendance will be marked. Now, once 20 minutes are done after the session, we'll close the quiz. Now, talking about the solving of queries. So, once you can put the query in the YouTube chat, that will be taken by the coordinator of the program to the speaker after the session is ended by the once the speaker is done with their presentation or demonstration. Now let us talk about the timings or the assignments. Let us talk about it. The assignments are given to you on TryHackMe as of now. There are no labs which are provided for we can say paid thing, paid labs or something like that. All labs are free. You have a week's time. If you solve it daily, you will get no restrictions. But if at all you try to solve in a day all the assignments on the 11th hour, obviously they have some restrictions. So make sure that you are solving it daily as the internship is required. You have to give daily 3 to 4 hours. It is mentioned. Now let us talk about the projects which will be given and the assignments. So assignments, once you are done with the assignment, you have to take the screenshot of the completed assignments with complete screen and upload it on Google Drive. Make a folder named as CSI assignments on your own Google Drive. Then create folders as per session. For example, session 1. Whatever the number of assignments you have completed, upload the screenshots of that assignment. Session 2, upload the screenshot of the assignment, and share the main folder which is named as CSI assignments, and keep that sharing rights, I mean viewing rights, to everyone. Only viewing rights, not editing rights. And then submit that link into the form. The deadline of every assignment is to be completed before the new session comes. Let's say the deadline of last assignment is tomorrow. So session 1 and session 2 assignment to be completed by tomorrow, that is Sunday, before the Sunday ends. Now the assignment which will be given today and to should be like completed before the next upcoming Sunday. So this is how what I wanted to be make clear this point. Okay, still there are questions I can see. What about the last two session attendance and quiz? Obviously, whoever has filled a form for last two sessions and quiz, they are marked as present, and whoever not filled. So the first session we have marked everyone as present, as there was some issue with the link and pinning of the link. But the second session, whoever has filled the form, we have marked that people as present. Okay. So, now talking about the projects, there is one more form which is given to you, which says submission or skill set form, and that form is emailed to you. That form is given into the also. You have to fill that form. You have to fill that form and fill that form in a manner where there are a lot of skill sets mentioned. Only tick mark on the skill set which you know. Do not tick mark on the skill set which you want to learn or which you wish to have, because basis on that skill allocated. Once the projects are allocated, their details will be emailed to you. There and the group leader will take it ahead. The group leader will take ahead for let's say further elaboration. And as this, you have to spend 3 to 4 hours a day and on weekends, including session 8 hours. So depending on all your assignments, we can say, or all on your projects, you will be decided as my voice was breaking. There are a lot of comments. Sorry for that. Maybe there may be a connectivity issue. So I'll repeat once again. Am I audible now? Hello, am I audible now? Can anybody like reply on the chat? Okay, yes, I'm audible, right? Okay, okay. Thank you very much for the response. Okay, so some people are saying the machine is available for 1 hour a day. So what you can do is you can solve it daily. If you solve it daily, then probably you can achieve the deadline. If you sit one day and you try to complete it, it will not work. Someone is saying the rooms are paid. There are no paid rooms. You can check into the Google Sheet which is given, and there are no paid rooms which are given. Obviously, we understand it is, as it is a free program. Okay. I think these are the basic instructions which I had to give in regards with the when we say about assignments, attendance aspects, and the projects. So the project, there was a question where people are asking about how you don't know any type of skills as a beginner, what you can do. So you can obviously contribute into the research aspect of it. That is always possible. So someone is asking, can you stream for 30 minutes? The sessions are recorded and they are on YouTube as of now. You can also watch the last two sessions and today's session. Okay. Also, people are asking about what about the quiz or attendance that did not permit us. So you should have solved that attendance within 20 minutes. That is what it is. Once the link will be shared and it will be pinned, and in between the session there will be no links which will be provided. So do not ask for quiz link. And like you have to remember here, you are here to develop your skill sets and not just to mark attendance and get certification. So let us focus more on studying. If at all there is a question, post it onto the chat box. Do not bombard the chat box just like with something else. There is a question related to the session, specific session. You can ask to the speaker, and that question will be taken ahead by our coordinator. Okay. Okay, someone is saying make the attendance list public. No, it is not possible because it has everyone's email ID, which I think is not good, revealing everyone's ID, which is a like private thing. And only use the email ID which you have used to register while filling the form on nas.io/cybersecureindia. That is something which you have to do while filling any of the form. May it be quiz form, may it be feedback form, or may it be submitting the projects or submitting the assignments. You don't have to fill the assignment form received the link of the Google Drive. Those who have not filled it, just filled it ASAP, and you'll get the like we will get the Google Drive link, and our team leaders can review the attendance and your assignments. Okay, someone is asking where you can get the project link. Projects, it will be emailed to you depending on what skill set you have filled. You will be allocated the projects. So now in like some minutes, our speaker will join and this session will be taken ahead. Okay, someone is asking in this session, VAPD tools and techniques will be covered practically. Yes, it will be covered practically. We are going step by step so that we understand there are beginners also into this program. So we are considering everyone. So let's understand that. So whatever things, okay, the question, what are the things which you are going to cover in today's session? Today's session is about all recon, and the speaker will take it ahead and he'll be briefing you on what will be covered. Okay. What if there is a question? What if I fill the quiz form with other email ID? Don't do that. Use your email ID which you used on nas.io/cybersecure India. That email ID will be considered. Else your attendance will be marked from other ID and it will be confusing at the end of eligibility criteria. There is also a question for projects. Will you guide us or we have to perform on ourselves? So depending on your skill sets, only the projects will be allocated to you. And after that, if at all you have any issues, you can research online. And even after that, if you are not getting any answers, obviously our mentors and group leaders will be there to guide you. Where you can get a skill form, obviously it is pasted into the Telegram channel. Today on Linktree also we'll try to add it. Hello, Arshad. Are we audible to you?
Hello.
Yes, sir. You are audible. Just check if you are able to share the screen.
Just
Yeah, sure. Take it.
is my screen visible, sir?
Yes. Screen is visible. It to our coordinator, Arundhati, and she will.
Hello, everyone. I would like to welcome to today's session with Harsh. Okay, and I would like to talk about him a little bit a brief introduction of Harsh. So, Harsh is a co-founder of SecureZ and cybersecurity researcher, and is also a blogger. Harsh, Harsh is also acknowledged by top organizations and the companies such as BlackBerry, Nokia, Samsung, Dutch government, BBC, Adobe, Samsung, Red Bull. So Harsh will be sharing with us with the different ways that the hackers use to undercover hidden assets of the company. He will also share the thought process of a hacker and his approach towards the target applications of organization. So I would request Harsh to take over and start the session. Hello,
Hi.
Harsh.
Hi, am I audible?
Yes, you are audible.
Okay, great. Sure. All right. So, hi everyone. My name is Harsh, and let us begin with today's session. So, what are we going to do today is we are going to understand, the initial phase of hacking. Let's say you are choosing a target today, and you want to hack on that target. You want to anyhow get access to the sensitive information of the company, of the organization, or you want to just want to understand how the entire organization is operating. So that phase of understanding the system, the infrastructure, the systems that the organization is using, and what is actually hiding behind the internal part of the organization is known as recon. So today we are going to understand recon and different ways of actually reconning a target. Okay, so let us begin. So the first part, that what do we actually recon? Let's say you're choosing a target, but what actually to look for? So we are going to divide this into 4 different sections. And the first section is domain. The second section is public information gathering. The third section is web recon. And the fourth section is network scanning. So to get you familiarized with these terms, by domain, we mean the actual root domain of the organization. Let's say you are targeting Facebook today. So you will be hacking on facebook.com, right? So the facebook.com is our main domain on which we are going to perform recon to understand more information about the actual facebook.com domain and what is hiding behind the facebook.com. Those are the assets, the hidden assets on which you can actually hack. So we are going to first recon domain. The next part is public information gathering. Now, you see, Facebook is a huge company, right? And there is a lot of information actually publicly available about the company. So hackers, they actually use this information in order to hack on the target. Considering a very simple attack, let's say social engineering, the root cause of someone being social engineered is actually publicly available information about the target. You must have heard about the recent Uber hack, right? So why did the employee was easily phished, and how did he receive the link, and how the how he was actually attacked is because of the publicly available information about that specific person available on the internet who was a part of that organization. So we are going to look into the public information and actually going to understand how we can use that information in order to achieve our goals on the target, that is to hack the target. The next is web recon, or also known as web reconnaissance. And what does this mean is, let's say you have a website, facebook.com. Now we need to perform reconnaissance on facebook.com in order to get sensitive information that is hosted on the website itself. A lot of times developers, they leave a lot of sensitive information on the website itself, inside the source code of the website, inside the JavaScript files. So we are going to perform web-based reconnaissance on our target and try to understand this sensitive information that is actually stored in the JavaScript files, or let's say in a particular subdomain of the target, let's say ads.facebook.com or any other subdomain. We're going to perform web-based reconnaissance. And last is network scanning, which is basically scanning the IP addresses and scanning open ports on the target, and much more. So let us get started with our first part, which is public information gathering. Now, what do you mean by public information gathering? So it is a process of collecting information from publicly available resources. Okay, let's start from very basic. We are going to hack on a company. Okay, so we need to understand what is actually hosted on the target and what actually the company is before that. So how do we exactly know the information about the company? So let us okay, so let us understand the first phase of actually hacking on the company. So the first thing that we are going to do is understand the company, the people in the company, the root domain of the company, what is the team size, how many people are working in the company. Okay. So let's say I want to hack on Facebook. So I'll come to this website called crunchbase.com, and I'll go and I'll search for my target over here, which is facebook.com, and it will list down a lot of information about different assets of the Facebook. Let's say it's an organization, so it will list that facebook.com is an organization. It will list different people from that organization. These people might be working in that particular organization, or may have some amount of relativity with the organization, right? So I'll search for companies. Okay, over here. As you can see, there are a lot of companies. I think Facebook is like a very common example. Let's take something else. Let's take Apple. Okay, this time. So what information do I get from here? First of all, I'll look at the root domain. Okay. Why I am showing you this particular example is because there are certain organizations about which we have no information. There might be some random organization, random NGO. I'm talking through a hacker's perspective. There might be some random NGO or maybe some random organization about which you don't have any information, but it might be listed somewhere, right? Because it is a registered organization. You need some information like what is the website of that organization, or what is the capacity of that organization, where it is located, information like that. So maybe you can use websites like Crunchbase or similar websites to get some information, and you will get information like what is the root domain of that particular registered organization, first of all. Then you will get information like any affiliate organizations with that. So let's say if there is any affiliate organization, maybe Apple, they acquired another company. All right, so that will also be listed under this specific organization. Let's say there is number of sub organizations, so there are 5 different sub organizations, just like this. Okay, this is a subsidiary, right? FileMaker, we all know what is FileMaker. It is a subsidiary of Apple. So you got access to one more organization of Apple. There is another capital organization. There is a division. Like this, you get access to the roots of the organization. So in this way, your actual target surface is now increasing. You do not need to hack only on apple.com, but you can actually hack on any of this part, which is actually going to affect Apple, right? So I can also hack on FileMaker today, and that will affect the actual root company Apple. So somehow or the other way, you're actually increasing your target surface, and you're trying to gain access to more and more information about the target. So what's next? You can go to like people over here now. So you'll get access to the all different types of employees that work in the organization. Who is the CEO of Apple? Who is the CTO? Who is the chief operations officer? Like, you get access to all these people, right? What's more important than this? Their email addresses. In order to send a phishing link, what you do is you actually need the email address of the person, right? Now, sometimes the email addresses are publicly available, maybe via LinkedIn, but a lot of times they are not available as well. So you can use websites like Crunchbase to get access to emails. And there are also similar websites just like Crunchbase, which I'll show you in a minute, which will give access to all of this information, right? So a lot of times, you might not find information on Crunchbase, but similar information is available on a different website. So we need to look at different websites, we need to look at different websites in order to gain access to that information, right? So then you can look at like what the actual company does. This information is also sometimes important because by understanding what the company is actually doing, we can increase our attack surface specifically. All right. So initially, through websites like Crunchbase, what information do we get? First of all, we get the root domain. And second most important information is we get the list of employees in the organization. The 2 most important parts over here. What's next? Once we go through Crunchbase, the next important thing is getting access to email addresses, right? So how we can get access to email addresses now? There is a website called Email Hippo. Email Hippo. There is a website called hunter.io. So what basically hunter.io does is it gives access to a lot of email addresses of a company. So let's say I want all the email addresses of apple.com. So I can just click on find email addresses over here. And you can see now basically this is a paid website. So you need access to the API, you need to pay for it. So as you can see, I got access to a bunch of email addresses, and there are like 3,175 email addresses through which the application enumerated. And what is the other source that you can use actually, which is a free source to get the email addresses of a particular company? So there is a website called snop.io. Now this is a marketing website. Companies, they use marketing products. So this is a marketing website. And if you go through, let's say let's just sign up for our account. So I think okay, and on hunter.io, you get like 25 free searches a month. So you can create an account over here on hunter.io and you can like search for certain domain names, but there are only 25 free searches. So they might end up really quickly as soon as you start, right? So let's say, okay, so now I, got into my, so let's say, I'll go to email search over here. And I can just write my let's say I write a company name, apple.com. I'll click on find emails. Okay, Steve, let's say just give any random. See, so like you can enumerate different email addresses like this way by providing a company name, and then through over here, you can come to like people and you can write Amit. Let's take this name over here. Amit and apple.com. So like you can also find email addresses in this way about specific people. So for now, they don't have any email addresses, but another way of using this particular website is, this particular platform is, they have an email finder extension. All right. So if you want like access to bulk emails, so you can just directly add this extension in your browser. Okay, and as soon as you install this, as you can see, I got access to like almost every single email address associated with this particular platform over here. If I go to apple.com, and if I turn on this extension, email finder, it will search and it's taking a little bit of time. Yeah, so you can see I got access to like a lot of email addresses of some personal email addresses and also community email addresses, right? So you can also use this extension. It's free and unlimited searches are available. You can like access all the results over here and save them in your list. Now this is email reconnaissance. So we completed 2 parts of reconnaissance, the 2 phases. The first one was going through Crunchbase to understand the company, to get the root domain, and the next part was finding the email addresses. Now, how do you verify those email addresses are real or not? So there is this website called Email Hippo. Okay, so you can go to Email Hippo. Okay, and through this website, you can actually verify whether that email address is real or not. So let's say you got access to bulk emails. So you can just directly use this API to understand whether those email addresses that you have captured from a lot of places are actually existing or not, so that they don't waste your time when you're sending them phishing links or maybe using them for your reconnaissance, right? Okay. The next part about reconnaissance is to gain more information about the target domain now. So what we can do is, if you're familiar with Whois, what is Whois data? So like when you register a new domain, it will have some registrant information, right? So there is a tool called Whois, which is available both online and in Kali Linux. So if you want more information about a domain, let's say you want the information of who registered the domain, or maybe what are the name servers of the domain, or the associated phone number with the domain. When you register a new domain, you have to provide some information like the phone number the registered address of the office, and your name, etc. So if you want such type of information, you can just use this tool called Whois, which is available in Kali Linux. The syntax is very simple. It is basically Whois and then the actual root domain. So I wrote the command whoisapple.com and I pressed enter. And as you can see, the domain name which is registered is apple.com itself. And who registered it? The corporate domains.com registered it. More than that, if you want the registered phone number where you can complain about this domain, it is over here. If you want, now below over here is the actual information about apple.com right over here. So as you can see, what is the name of the organization? Apple Incorporation. Where it is located? Obviously Apple Parkway. It is in, you can get the postal code, you can get the country, you can actually get the phone number through which the domain name is registered, right? Now, talking in two different perspectives where this is important. First of all, if you talk if you talk in the sense of a black hat hacker, this information is very crucial, right? You want to like make a phony call, you can call on this number, maybe the right person picks up the call. Let's say this is not apple.com, this is a small company, and you got a phone number on which you can call right now. This might be a personal phone number of any person who is a part of that company. Maybe he's a C-level executive and he picks up your call. You made a phony call and the person actually got trapped in whatever you said. So this information is through a black hat hacker's perspective, this information is crucial, right? And if you talk through a white hat hacker's perspective, this information is also crucial. Let's say there is some kind of fraud. Okay, there is a website which is basically a phishing website, and you want to like get to know who is actually hosting this particular website, right? So the Whois information also helps you at that particular moment. You can get access to like a lot of information if the person has filled any kind of personal information in that particular registered for that particular registrant. You can get access to that information. Plus you also got access to like the registrant email. Now, instead of domains.apple.com, this might be a personal email, because many times people, they register domains through the personal Gmail accounts, right? More than that, you get access to phone numbers, and where that particular is, you also get access to the name servers. So basically name servers, they help you understand how the traffic is actually routing. If the attacker is actually hosting a personal server, the name servers might define that particular server, and you get to understand that, okay, the entire traffic is actually being routed through the attacker's particular server, the attacker's personal server. So maybe you can trace back those servers and get your hands on the attacker, right? So the Whois information is actually helpful in a lot of ways if we try to study that. The command is very simple. Once again, it's whoisapple.com. And after that, the next most important part is using Shodan. Now, Shodan is very interesting tool if you are looking into public information gathering. And this is now slowly we are understanding from very low level, from understanding the organization. Now, after understanding the organization, we got access to the email addresses, and after getting access to the email addresses, we got more information like the associated phone number of the organization and the name servers, etc. Now we are trying to understand more info. We are trying to gather more information about the organization, and this Shodan is a search engine that helps you get access to that particular information. All right. So just give me a minute. So basically what Shodan does is it helps you get access to the internet connected devices of the organization. Now, what are these internet connected devices? They can be servers, they can be CCTV cameras, they can be Wi-Fi routers, right? Every single device that is connected to the internet, Shodan will basically scrape that data and store that data in its database. So your attack surface is not only limited to one particular domain. Let's say only apple.com. Now we are actually increasing our surface, and if I search for apple.com on Shodan, you can see there are like more than 2,000 results over here available, and from where those results are actually available. So the first of all, the highest amount of devices that Shodan found was in United States. Now, this does not include the phones, okay? The devices called phones, okay? These are actually devices like the routers, the servers, and like the different technological stuff, the cloud infrastructure of the company. So do not consider phones in this particular scenario. So if you look at the rankings, the highest amount of devices were found in US over here. And slowly we go down, Germany, Singapore, United Kingdom. And these are the IP addresses that you can see. So one more very particular information that we get from this Shodan is the IP address that is associated with the company. So if you look closely, this 17.32 series, okay? There is 17.32 series everywhere. See the 17 series over here, which is associated with Apple. Once again, 17 series is associated with Apple. 17.32. Now this is a cloud IP. So we are going to exclude the cloud IP. As you can see, it is written over here, cloud. Then, so basically, see apple.com, and there is a 17 series. So what do we understand from this particular scenario is that the 17 series, the 17 IP series is actually associated with Apple. So if you find any domain name or any IP address, let's say you find an IP address which starts with 17 series, you can actually make a guess that this particular IP might belong to Apple. Okay, many times we don't have access to the domain apple.com. We have access to an IP. So like you can enumerate all the IPs in the 17 series. You can use the permutation combination formula. You can brute force after 17. You can brute force this particular digits and easily you can easily enumerate all the live IP addresses that belong to Apple. We're going to look into detail what I'm actually talking about right now, but this is just a guess. So let's go to this one of the IP address over here and try to understand what exactly this particular page is hosting. If you look closely, there are some domains over here. Okay, it's ws01 prz, ws01 apple.com, and this IP address is particularly associated with these domains somehow. So that is the reason Shodan is listing them over here. If I click on this button over here and try to visit this IP, this is some kind of error. Okay, your connection is not private because this particular IP is not actually internet facing IP. It might be an internal IP as well, which does not has any particular internet facing kind of technology associated. But okay, so it is redirecting me to some IDMS apple.com sign in Apple key. Okay, so it is redirecting me to some portal on Apple, which might be public, which not might be public. Let's go to another one. Okay, let's pick this. Once again, my connection is not private because it might be internal as well. It is forbidden. So, let's try to visit multiple at the same time so that let's see if we can find anything interesting that might be exploitable. Most of the times you will find that your connection is not private because these are like mostly internet facing devices and not exactly okay, let's see, we found something really interesting. This is a VPN service that is used by Apple. Okay, so like this is a Cisco VPN service, and the Apple, what exactly Apple does is in order to provide remote connection to the clients, to the employees, or maybe to third-party companies, Apple might be giving access to this particular IP address, which is associated with this domain, and the remote client might be connecting to the Apple server through a username and password. So if you understand, what we actually found is an internal domain, an internal IP address, or an internal part of the company, an internal address of the company through which we can access maybe internal servers. If we provide the right username and password over here, which is possible through a brute force, we can actually log in inside the Cisco VPN service and gain access to some critical information. Now, a lot of times developers, they use very common usernames and password like admin. We have a habit of just setting some common password like admin, and maybe if they also used some similar weak combinations, we might get access to the critical information. So if you ever come across any such sensitive page, through Shodan. Now, the Cisco SSL VPN service is one, but you will find a lot of VPN services and internal domains, admin dashboards through this particular service through Shodan. And like you can try a lot of combinations like admin password as your username and password, root, public. There are a lot of combinations that developers use, and you can just guess those usernames and passwords over here, and maybe you can get access to one of the internal administrative server of the Apple, right? So this particular IP does not has anything hosted. If you go into more detail, somehow this pencillypay.com is also associated with Apple. That is the reason it is being listed under apple.com. See, they're like, you can go to a lot of more. Now you can also visit this particular addresses. You might find something related to Apple because since they're listed under apple.com, maybe there are cloud platforms that Apple is using. So, okay, so this is a website hosted on an IP address. If you guys are familiar with Cloudflare, what exactly Cloudflare does is it protects your website, right, from any kind of DDoS attacks. And it gives you a rotating public IP. Through Shodan, you can also find private IP addresses of that particular domain. So let's say this TimberPress is actually a public website on timberpress.com. Maybe you can like find the internal IP, which is 321.2.161.157, and you will find that there is no DDoS protection on this particular website. So instead of attacking timberpress.com, you can actually attack the IP address of that particular website, and in this way you will successfully attack the website, because the timberpress.com might have protection against DDoS, but the IP address, which is the private IP address over here, might not have access to the DDoS protection through Cloudflare. So this is one of the way you can think of actually getting access to private IP addresses through Shodan. Okay, now there are a lot of queries that Shodan is basically going to provide, right? So if you search for Shodan queries, and if you go to this first address over here, this is a public GitHub repo hosted by Jake Jarvis. So as I said, the Shodan actually lets you access a lot of internet connected devices, right? So are you interested in watching CCTV cameras? Maybe, right? So if you go below over here, see, one of the most interesting, you can find Tesla power packs charging statuses over here. You see Tesla cars are being charged, and those charging poles are actually, those charging stations, those charging poles are connected to the internet, right? If you install a private station in your home, you will find that that particular station, you can connect it to the internet. And also the Tesla car itself is also connected to the internet, right? So basically, it's an internet connected device, and that device might be listed on Shodan. So the Tesla power pack charging status might also be visible. If we try to like search, let's just copy this particular query and let's go on Shodan, and let's try to find if we can find anything. It's taking a little bit of time. Let's go through other queries by the time, and like see, like you can also find sensitive stuff that is related to the army. You can find submarine mission control dashboards. Like they have a particular, okay, you can see this title over here, right? This GitHub Jake Jarvis, awesome, this particular title. So Shodan, it actually allows you to search for titles, and you can like search for specific titles like this, and if there are any similar titles available which is scraped by Shodan, it will show you. So for submarine mission control dashboards, they have this particular title. They might be using some internal software which has this particular title, and we can like just find those dashboards available. So, okay, for now we didn't find any. Let's try to modify the query a little. Let's remove this and only search for this http.title basically stands for this particular title over here at the top, whatever we see. This github.com, Jake Jarvis, awesome. So this particular title I'm searching for right now. Let's see if we can find anything. Okay, sadly we didn't find any. Let's search for some simple query. There are electric meters available. The internet connected electric meters. Medical X-ray machines are also sometimes available. This internet connected devices. So you might be wondering how actually people get access to, how actually attackers get access to some internal device that is installed in an hospital. So basically, this is the part where attackers search for such devices. Okay, the Shodan is one of the most important search engine if you're looking for any internet connected devices. Let's search for remote desktops. I think you might be familiar with remote desktops. Windows systems, they allow you to connect with systems remotely. And okay, let's see, we found a lot of systems. There are 5,000 systems available right now. And these are all the IP addresses of the systems. All right. So, okay, let's see. Let's try to visit this particular IP. It might be accessible, it might not be accessible, depending if we need access to the VPN through which the IP address is connected. But if this is a public IP, we might be directly able to access the IP address and get access to the system. So like there are a lot of IP addresses, 5,000 IP addresses, and you can also see which particular organization is hosting this IP address over here. So there is a Megapath Corporation, SpaceX. Okay, SpaceX, I think, Starlink. See, we have some systems that are also from Starlink, of course, Elon Musk. So like one of their systems is actually using RDP, and that particular IP address is being scraped by Shodan. So if by any chance this particular IP, it becomes publicly accessible, okay, it might be port forwarded on the internet. Maybe that system is port forwarded by mistake. You may have access to the remote desktop protocol of that particular system, and you might be able to access that system through a username and password, or maybe without any username and password. If you like see over here, it is using a VNC protocol, and like if by any chance this particular IP becomes publicly available, you might get access to that system. All right, so this is one way of searching for systems that are used inside the organization. Okay, you can also like come for apple.com over here. Only for Apple you want authentication, only for Apple you want this particular query. Now like this authentication disabled is what we are searching for to get access to the the remote desktop protocol enabled systems. Let's search for authentication enabled and let's see if we can find anything. Okay, we're not finding anything. Okay, there is nothing for Apple, I think. You can just modify the queries as you like and try to get access to information. Okay, there is nothing for this authentication enabled. No worries, we can like go through. Okay. Then you can get access to the MongoDB databases that might be publicly available. So websites sometimes they have databases. Some websites sometimes they leave the databases unprotected on the internet. So maybe you can like search for those particular databases. Other than that, Jenkins, if you're familiar with Jenkins, it is mostly used by, okay, let's come to MongoDB. And as you can see, there's some amount of information available over here. Also, the IP address is available where it is hosted. It is a cloud-based system hosted on DigitalOcean. So there is a database hosted on DigitalOcean, right? You can just go into this IP address and like look into more information that might be available about that particular database. So these are the open ports on the database of 8443, 543 to 9000 and so on. It is using an Apache 2.4.41 version. You can search for any publicly available exploits for this particular version as well. Let's say I want to attack this particular server. Okay, I already have the IP address. I have a host name as well where this is hosted. So it is hosted on dashboard.mfenster.de, and like this is another domain through which it is being routed, right? So I have access to the domain name. I also have access to the IP address. Anyhow, I can attack this particular system, right? So, and I also know that it is using an Apache server, which is 2.4.41. So what I can do is I can like search for Apache 2.4.41 exploit. And let's say if there is any particular exploit available, I can go through this. Okay, let's see. I think there are some exploits available. So like I can go through this particular like exploits and try to find if there is any exploit whose code is publicly available, or any information is publicly available on how to exploit that particular vulnerability, and I can actually attack that particular system. So instead of 2.4.41, let's take an example of 2.4.49, and there is a remote code execution vulnerability available, and you can see that the code in order to exploit that particular vulnerability is also available over here. So it's very simple. It's a bash script, and if you read the bash script, it is basically sending this it is basically sending this payload through a curl command, and it will list down the sensitive file. It will list down the etc password file of that particular target. All right, so like you can search for publicly available exploits. You get access to the in detail information about what is the server, what the server, sorry, what is the backend of the entire application. If you come to like more detail over here, see over here as well under the vulnerability section on Shodan, you also have access to a lot of data like what vulnerability is this particular system is actually affected to. All right, so like there are multiple CVs by which this particular system is affected. So you can like go through this particular CVs and search like, okay, let's say this is a CV. Okay, I'll just search and I'll search for an exploit like this. So CV 2021, and you can like go through any of this website and try to find a exploit of an exploit code using which you can exploit the system, right? So you can go through individual CVs one by one and try to find a particular exploit code. If you come to like detail over here, this is MongoDB server information. So you can like go through and try to find if there are any sensitive strings available over here as well. Maybe the developer, they left some type of very crucial information and you got access to it. So it's really long. There are a lot of CVs as well. So this particular version might really be outdated till now. And like you can see, you can just go through one by one and try to find any type of exploit that is available, right? Let's try to see if we can find any CCTV cameras, maybe. So let's see what is the DOR for it. Well, it should be available over here. Okay, so this is one of the DOR for cameras. Let's try to find if we can. Okay, so there are some systems available. We can like try to visit this IP. Sometimes this IPs are visible. Sometimes these IPs are accessible. Sometimes they're not. So it's like trial and error. You can go one by one through each IP, and you can also find some information over here. Like it's an FTP server. Okay, and like who is hosting this particular info. You can go on the next page. There are like total 19 19 systems that are using this particular camera system, right? So you can like go through one by one all these IP addresses. If you notice, they're all in the same space, right? It's 166.203. So there is an assumption that since the name says it is straight light, I'm assuming that it might be some road somewhere where all these cameras are installed, and they're like installed in a linear fashion, one after the another on a street, right? So that is the reason they are all in the same subnet, and they like it's 166 series, 131, 166. Like they are installed on the same road in a linear fashion. So maybe like you can assume such theory and try to understand what exactly these systems are. So you can use this particular GitHub repository to try all the dorks, and maybe you find something very sensitive. Like if I show you my example, once I was actually able to find the CCTV camera that was associated with the US Department of Defense, right, on Shodan. So like later on, I reported that to them and they actually got it fixed, but it was not very sensitive. That was just a CCTV camera that was showing the footage of a road. But sometimes gaining access to such type of information is also very critical, right, for the government. So you can find like a lot of information through Shodan, and you can experiment with all these docs one after the another in order to gain information. We'll look at more examples in a couple of minutes, where again we will look at Shodan and like try to understand what more information we can get. Let's move on to the next part. So we completed Shodan. Similarly, Censys. Censys is very similar to Shodan, and it is also used to list down similar internet connected devices, but it is a little different. So let's say like through Shodan, you find list of 10 devices. Now there are more than 10 devices, right? So the Shodan might not cover everything. So you can also come to Censys, which is again very similar to Shodan, and it also shows internet connected devices. And along with internet connected devices, it also shows you threat management based mapping. All right. So you basically get access to more data. Now, if you like search for Censys dorks, okay. Okay, let's just go through any of the website and try to find some docs about Censys. So on Censys, like there is one way of searching for any random IP address, and the next thing is there are particular docs on Censys that you can use, which are quite long and difficult to remember sometimes. So as you can see over here in this image, there is like this particular doc that is being used. So what this person is using is there is a system called SCADA, and he wants any SCADA system that is located in United States, and like he got access to a lot of different systems that are hosted under United States, and that is basically built on SCADA, that is using some kind of technology which is associated with SCADA, right? So again, Censys is very similar to Shodan, but it gives you access to more information. So moreover, it's just trial error based. You can like on any day you wake up and you can go on any of this particular website, try to search for some data, and maybe you can find some really sensitive stuff. So okay, see, this is one of the GitHub repository, and if I zoom in a little, okay, you find a lot of docs. So this is a Censys. Sorry, this is a okay. So this is a Censys doc, and what this particular user is searching is it is searching for certificates, which is associated with Prism View, and any HTTP response header which basically has Prism View player in its response. So like if you remember when we went to Shodan over here, and let's say go on this IP address, you will find that this particular IP address on port 8000 responded with a 401 unauthorized. Okay, so this all are HTTP headers, and what the person is trying to search is any IP address or any domain name which has a certificate which is associated with Prism View, and any response header okay, any response header, which is basically this header, it must have the prism view player text in it. So this basically resolves all the systems whose certificates are associated with prism view, any IP address or any domain name. And secondly, in order to confirm like I'm getting the right system, there was a condition that it must have the response headers must have prism view player in its string, in its response header. So the attacker, the user, he gave both these conditions, and any systems that is related with this particular company called prism view will be shown to the user. You can also like replace this with Apple or maybe Facebook or any company, let's say Red Bull, BBC. You can just replace this and try to find some information about that particular company. So like there are a lot of different docs that are used for multiple purposes. You can grab for banners, you can grab for certificates. There's a lot. You can use hash values, fingerprint values of certificates. Now Shodan does not support fingerprint values of certificates, right? But Censys does. So basically it gives you more access to information. You can search for self-signed certificates. You can search for Nessus servers. There is a lot. So like this is one of the repository by Mathis 201. You can just note down this particular user on GitHub, and after this session, you can go through this repository and try to find a lot of different stuff. So Shodan and Censys. What's next? Now, how to get more information about systems? There are similar particular platforms. One of them is intelx. Now, after Shodan and Censys, let's go to intelx. And intelx is really a great platform to gain access to a lot of information. Let's say I want to gain access about some information about apple.com. I'll search for Apple, and if you look at what exactly I'm getting is, okay, just read out. Now I need a paid subscription to access this data, but for now, there is some database, okay, form responses. Now this might be recently leaked databases of apple.com. If you look over here, this is an email header. It was made to cyberpunks@toad.com, which is somehow related to Apple because it is listed under apple.com. You can like just go to this file and try to read this file. Most of the data is masked because I need a paid subscription. But you can like use intelx.io to gain access to a lot of information. You can get information like usernames, passwords, dumped hashes, internal IP addresses, internal communications, anything, mostly any type of leaked data about that particular company. If you need access to that, so one of the service intelx.io provides you, right? So like you can just go through this file name and try to understand what it is exactly providing. You can like also use Facebook. Let's try another example, facebook.com. And like what you can get on Facebook now, okay, see over here, there are usernames and passwords. This might be leaked through phishing, like someone was phished and they got access to usernames and passwords of one particular, of like a lot of users. This can be anything. You can just try them on your in facebook.com, and even if you got access to like one of the account, that particular user has not yet changed the password. So you can also search for yourself if like you accidentally ever entered your username password on any phishing website. You can also search for like Netflix. Okay, so like I think there are only 2 free searches available. I need to sign up now. Let's pause this. But you got like one particular example. You got an idea, right? What exactly this particular service is providing. It basically provides you access to everything: usernames, passwords, like databases, leaked data, internal communications. So whatever things that hackers were able to extract from the company, that particular information got leaked on darknet, and the darknet, the people who serve darknet, they basically scrape that data, and this particular service, it helps you to enumerate that data. Okay. So intelx.io is again one similar service. Similarly, Go find Whois and Fullunt are very similar services just like that. Let's move on to some next part of Reconnaissance. And this time, the next thing that we are going to do is go through the images. Okay. So there is a tool called exif viewer. And what exif viewer allows you to do is basically extract the exif metadata of files. Do you know that the profile picture that you upload on any website has some exif data or the metadata associated with it? So you go to, let's say, gmail.com, okay, and there are a lot of people who are associated with you through mails. Their profile pictures have some metadata, and it is very important for the website on which you're uploading your profile picture. It needs to scrape out that metadata to remove any sensitive information. Now, what type of metadata exists in this particular file? It includes the phone that you're using to capture that image. If you used a mobile phone, or if you ever used let's say a professional camera, it basically has that information, like this particular device is used to capture that particular image. Moreover, that it also includes the GPS coordinates. If you have GPS coordinates enabled, the exif metadata or the metadata of the image, it has those coordinates as well. It has the name of you as a person. If, let's say, the camera has that system to include the name and a lot more information. So this type of information needs to be scraped out whenever you are uploading your image on a website. Otherwise, some other person might be able to download your image and get access to the data. Like, who are you exactly? So, like, to get access to that particular data, you can use this website called exifdata.com. You can upload any random file over here. Let's say I'll upload a random JPEG file. Let's just choose this, and I think I think there's an issue with this website. Okay, let's just choose another website. Okay. I have an image uploaded over here, and like you can see, there is no information associated with this particular image right now. It's all unknown. So like, I don't know which camera was used, which lens was used, and like any data. Similarly, there is also one tool called exif tool, which is available for command line, and you can also use this particular tool to extract information. So just give me a minute. Let me find an image quickly. Let's just use this image. So let's just get okay, let's just use only random image to get an example. I'll download this image from internet. Oh, okay. Step. I'll name this test. It's JPEG, right? So I got test.jpg. I'll use exif tool against this particular, and like you can see, okay, exif tool. Okay, yeah, this is the image. So like, okay, so now you can see I got access to a lot of data about this particular image over here. After this, if you look, I have the file name. Okay, file name is common. I have like some information like, okay, what colors were used exactly, and there's nothing sensitive right now over here because the website on which this was uploaded actually scraped it out. But like whenever you come across any image, for example, if you click an image through your phone next time, just click an image and take it on your computer and upload it, and like just pass that image through this tool called exif tool, and you will notice that there is some information about your camera which is used to click that photo. There is also some information about the coordinates if you have GPS enabled while clicking images, right? So you'll find which was used through exif tool. So what's next now after exif tool? To revise what we have looked till now, first of all, we looked at Crunchbase to get access to information about the company, to understand the company. After that, we went through Snow.io and one more, the Hunter.io, to get access to email addresses of people, right? Through Crunchbase, we had access to a lot of employees of the company, and after that, we got access to the email addresses. After that, we looked at Shodan, Censys, and intelx to get access to the internal devices and leaked data of the company. And lastly, we looked at exif viewer to get access to exif metadata that is associated with images uploaded on the company's domain. After that, we are going to look at Google Docking and Github Docking. Now, this both are really awesome techniques to get access to a lot of sensitive information. And basically, Google Docking, it also helps you find a lot of hidden information. Okay, so what is basically Google Docking? Now, let's say I want to search for a site called security.com. Very simple. I only want anything and everything that is only related to security.com. So there is this tag called site, which you can use to list everything and anything indexed by Google, which is associated with security.com. Confusing? Let's just search for it and try to understand. Okay. So let's say, like, if you look at anything right now over here, there are only 2 pages. If you conduct a normal search, you'll get more than 10 pages of Google. But this time there are only 2 pages because my search is very restricted because of this site function. And everything is listed only, and every information that is listed over here is only associated with security.com. So like my search is very restricted. And how we can use this particular function of Google? We can restrict our search again to a very particular domain and try to find sensitive information which is associated with that, which is associated with that domain. So there are a lot of Google Docs that are available to conduct this particular research. And once again, if you come to this repository by Mathis 2001 and go to Google Docs file, you can see a bunch of docs that are available over here. Okay, let's take a simple one. Let's take this particular doc. This is going to be very interesting to look at. Okay, let's take a site. Which one we will take? Okay, let's do an open search. Okay, I'm only searching for in-text index of. Now, what does this in-text keyword mean? Do you see this data over here, right over here, which is written Security is an information technology company. Over here, our cloud penetration testing services identify vulnerabilities. This particular text is associated with this particular dork called in-text. So when I search for in-text, it basically searches for this particular text. Okay. So what is the condition right now I'm giving? In-text, it must contain index of. So like anywhere on the internet, if it will find index of written inside this particular text, it will show me. So let's just press enter. and you'll find like a lot of information over here. So, okay, there is also something related to Apple over here. But I don't think it's very sensitive because it is like related to documentation. Let's go to this. This looks interesting, right? Index of files. What is this exactly? See, there are like a lot of files available over here. Now, these are PDF files available. This can be some internal data, right? If you're not sure what this particular domain is, this can be some internal data associated with that particular domain. So let's try to understand what this domain is first. Okay, it's some science socials. Okay, it's an organization, I think. And like they have directory listing enabled on their server, because of which this particular files were indexed, and they have uploaded all these files on the server. So it's giving me access to that particular files. Let's try to search something sensitive now. Okay, I want index of, and I want images. Look at stairs. Okay, so I have some results over here. Let's go to anything random. Let's go to this university page. And you can see like there are a lot of image files uploaded on this web server. You have access to those image files as well. Now for demo purposes, because you don't want to disclose any sensitive information, I'm just searching for random common data. But what you can do is you can actually search for here like passwords. Okay, you can search for your keys. You can search for secrets like this. And okay, let's see. You have some results over here like index of / secrets. Now, the common terminology says that this particular stuff might be something secret, right? And maybe they contain some sensitive information in one of these directories, and like you have access to that particular data. Maybe you can open it. There's something called secret.html. If you open it, you might actually have access to some sensitive data. There is like this university again, which has some secret data hosted. You again have cyberspace. Opnation.org has some secret. Like you can search for, okay, see, there is some FTP secrets over here. So if you go through this data right now, you have intel secrets.txt. If you can really look, there is intel secrets.txt. You may download this file and actually get access to some sensitive information, right? So Google Dorking is one of the most amazing way to find sensitive information about websites. So like you can just search for Google Docs. And like you can find a lot of docs over here. Let me give you a good repository for the same. Okay, so you can come to this particular repository by Provisec, and you can go through these files one by one, or you can just look down over here. There are a lot of docs available. We looked at this particular doc in text, and we looked at another doc which was site. You can also use a doc called in URL. And what does in URL do is, let's say, do you see this particular keyword over here, search in the URL? So let's say if I'm searching for in URL, security once again. So it will list any website, any website on the internet that has security in its URL. It can be anywhere. It can be right over here as well. It can be right over here as well. So as you can see, when we searched for site, which was, when we searched for this, it only listed security.com over here. Okay, the root domain was security.com. But when I'm searching for in URL, it is basically listing anything and everything which is security.com in its domain name. So like if I copy this link address and show you, you can see the security is right over here in the path, and it is not in the domain name, right? So the in URL dork, it basically searches for keyword anywhere in the URL, whereas the site dork, it searches for the keyword only in the root domain. So that is the difference. between the two domains, between the two docs. You can like read the description of other docs as well and try to find such simple information, sorry, such sensitive information. You can also use certain operators. Now this is an OR operator. Okay, so let's say I search for site anything random.com, which obviously does not exist, or in URL security.com. You see, I'm only getting access to the data that is related to security.com over here. And if I also give this particular anything random, it will basically not show me any result because none of this conditions are true. Okay, once again, if I go like facebook.com, sorry, it must be in URL. Okay, so the both conditions must be matching. This both should be in URL because it is an OR operator, right? So logically, and you can see like I'm now getting access to the data that is related to facebook.com, and this particular information is false, right? So it is not giving me access to that information. So that's how you can use different operators. There is an AND operator as well. You can use this AND sign to get access to like both the information. Okay. You can combine multiple doors like this. You can use OR operator, and like there is a door called extension. Okay, so I can search for extension PDF like this. Okay, there are no PDFs indexed. Okay, let's do it in this way. And URL.pdf now. So maybe I have access to some PDFs. And like I can combine it with in URL .html like this. So you see, now I have access to two types of information, .html and as well as .pdf, because both are true. So you can combine different docs based on your based on the data that you need and get access to that particular information. So once again, this is the good repo that you can refer anytime and like combine a lot of docs. After Google Docking, there is something called as Github Docking. Okay, and then this thing is really interesting, a lot more interesting. So let's say I want to find some really sensitive information now. Do you know the organizations, they commit code on GitHub like all the time, and many times they leave a lot of sensitive information in their code. The developers may accidentally leak such informations in the code, right? So I search for Red Bull and I can see that there are 17,000 code commits over here, which basically contains redbull.com. This can be anything. You can come down over here and segregate them based on the language. And like there are 542 something codes in JavaScript. But let's search something, but let us search for something like sensitive. So every organization nowadays uses Google services, right? And the Google API keys, they start with AIZ. This is the keyword through which the Google API keys start. So I can search for like redbull.com and after that AIZ. And if there is any API key that is accidentally leaked by, let's say, Red Bull or maybe any of the developer of Red Bull, I'll get access to it. So you can see like this is the first result, which has something related to Red Bull. Maybe this might belong to Red Bull, this might not belong to Red Bull, but you can see I got an API key over here. It is a Firebase config API key, I think. And the developer has accidentally leaked it over here. So maybe I can use this API key for my own malicious purposes. Maybe I can exploit this. Like if this is a Google Maps API key, basically I can use it for my own purpose, and whatever, you know, the pricing that the particular user has opted for, he has to pay for it, right? So, or maybe if this is a secret key that is actually being used to access some sensitive information on the API server, I can use that secret key to access the same information. So that's how you can search for secrets in this in GitHub, right? So I can also search for like keywords such as secret, and if there are any secrets associated, like in this particular code, developers, they usually write secrets as the keyword, right? So you can search for some similar secret keyword or maybe secret key like this, you can search for keywords over here. And if there is anything on GitHub, okay, I don't think there is anything in this code. If you know the Amazon AWS keys, they start with AIKA, right? So you can also search for Amazon keys through this door. You can just basically write the root domain, and after that search for the string that you want. Okay, that's how GitHub Dorking works. So maybe, okay, we don't have anything sensitive over here. Let's search something very specific. Let's search for Amazon secret access keys. And there are like a lot of instances where developers, they actually leave it over here. Okay, so you just have to go through this 100 pages one by one and quickly look if you find any string that resembles to AIKA. There are like more than 4 million codes. So obviously 100 pages are not enough, but it shows you very restricted search, right? So you have to manipulate your GitHub query as well, your dork as well, to get access to further results. I'm randomly jumping here and there, like to get access to that particular string. Let's search in detail. I'm also adding this particular keyword now, AIKA, to get access to more restricted search. Okay, see. Let's see if we can find anything. Okay, there is nothing. Okay, but if we look at this particular, okay, this is a let's search it in this way and see if you can find anything. Something interesting in this way as well. Maybe you can go like this way. Okay, nothing much interesting. So you can like manipulate your query in this way. Okay, see, we found something. AWS secrets. Do you see like these are secret keys that someone has actually listed on in one of their public repo? So maybe an attacker can use these secrets. Like this might be his personal project secrets, right? I think they all are same, right? So like you can use this particular secret key and try to understand if it is exploitable or not. This might be dummy as well. This might not be dummy, but like just testing it, it's not going to take anything from us, right? So in this way, you can like search for a lot of sensitive stuff on GitHub. And it's not just about like, let's say you want to search about a particular organization right now. So I can give this query like organization Red Bull. And after that, I can give some query like secret. So I think this particular organization name is wrong. Let's search for the real organization name. So it's RBHM technology, right? This is the real name of the, this is the name of the organization. So you need the name of the organization correct. And like you can also search it organization based. So the developers, they commit all their code in this particular repo, right? In this particular organization's repo. So you can like use this dork called organization, the name of the organization, and then your keyword to get access to more sensitive information inside this particular repositories. You can search for like password. If they have any passwords hard coded in their code, you can find them over here. See, there is something over here. Okay, default Cassandra password. There is a password over here. And there is one more thing that you should like be looking in deep. So okay, the repository has been archived, which means that maybe there the team is no more using this particular space of software, right? So like, see, if this might be a deployed software, you can use this particular usernames and passwords against this particular system, and maybe you can get access to the internal server or maybe any internal system that this particular technology is being used to, for which this particular technology is actually being deployed, right? So in this way, you can use GitHub Dorking to get access to more and more sensitive information, because developers, a lot of times, they always miss out on taking out sensitive strings from their code, and they immediately commit the code, and because of which, like, we get access to such sensitive information, and you can use that information against the organization. Now, let's say once they committed the code and like they forgot to remove like the sensitive information, but later on they removed the information and they again committed the code. So in that case, what are you going to do? So you can go to the history part over here again on GitHub, and you can see there are like 3 commits, right? So you can just go to recent commit, and you can see the entire code at that particular point as well, what they removed and what actually exists right now. So in this way, you can also get access to that information. So the red lines, they showcase you like, okay, this particular information is removed. The green line, it showcases you that, okay, this particular information is being added. So in your case, the red, you should look for the red lines that is being removed, and you get access to the sensitive information again on GitHub. So that's how you can go to histories and get access to usernames, passwords that they removed. Okay. Are you guys understanding what I'm actually trying to showcase? So we went through GitHub Dorking and Google Dorking. Next is ASN lookup. And what is ASN lookup? ASN stands for autonomous system numbers. Okay. Once again, consider apple.com. And apple.com has a private IP, which is 17.series. Now, every IP of Apple will have an ASN number assigned, because Apple is really a big organization, right? It's not a small organization with 10, 15 desktops. It has like thousands of desktops. So basically, it gets an ASN number, and that ASN number identifies those systems. So you can like reverse search every time. You can look for ASN numbers and find all the corresponding systems, or you can like search for all the systems and check for the ASN numbers. So let's say if I give an IP address, or let's give Apple. I want to search for Apple and see, these are all the ASN numbers that are given to Apple. Okay, our company is Apple Engineering, Apple Austin. These are all different companies which has Apple in it, and they all have an autonomous system number. Okay, so if I search for this particular autonomous system number, you can see it has this particular IP address range. It is the 37.139.80.0 to 21. So like all the systems from .0 to .21, they belong to this particular autonomous system number. So anytime you get an IP address, which is 37.139.80 anything up to 21 will belong to this organization. So that's how we look for ASN numbers. Let's do another search for a more restricted search. Let's search for Facebook. Okay, and as you can see, Facebook is this autonomous system number, and it has so many IP ranges. Okay, it has got 31 series, it has got 45 series, 66, 102. These are all public IPs. Okay, and like there are 18 systems, 22 systems, 20 systems under one particular subnet, right? So like you can just go on Google and type any of these IPs. Let's say 185.89.218.21. Okay, that particular IP will belong to Facebook because it has all the IPs up to /23. So I can go like .23, and every IP up till .23 will belong to Facebook. So in this way, you get all the public IP addresses of Facebook, which are actually not publicly, which are not accessible like directly. You always go to facebook.com, but this time you're actually going to a particular IP address, and this particular IP address might have some amount of sensitive information. It might have an internal server hosted without any admin login. or maybe it has some kind of system status available to you. So you can like visit this individual IP addresses and try to enumerate some sensitive information. So this is ASN lookup. What's next now after ASN lookup? We looked at leak credentials as well through intelx.io. There is also a website called dhashed. This is very interesting, but again, it requires a paid subscription. So like, it's difficult to showcase you what exactly it shows. But you can go to the website called dhashed.com. And this website again will again list down like all the sensitive information, right? So what should we give? What should we do? Let's do a all field scan. Okay, let's go for apple.com. It's asking for, I don't have an account right now for this, but like you can, it's very similar to intelx.io once again. You can just create an account on this particular website and you can try a couple of few searches, and after that it's going to be paid again. So it again shows you all the leaked information about that particular domain. So it's very similar to intelx.io. So like just note down this service as well. We also found emails through Snownet, through Snow and Enter.io. Now, these two particular tools called Truffalog and PuneDB.py. Both the tools are available on GitHub, and like they're basically tools that will help you get access to sensitive information. Let's just look at Truffalog once. Okay, I have it installed. Good. Okay. Right. So like what does Truffalog actually do? So there are multiple functionalities that Truffalog offers. The first thing it is that it scans for Git repositories. Okay, any Git repositories, you can basically scan those Git repositories through Truffalog and like try to get access to any kind of leaked data in those particular repositories. So if you remember, we looked for redbull.com on GitHub, right? Now for you in person, it is very difficult to like go through every single repository and every single code over here to look for sensitive information, right? You cannot, even if you sit like for an entire day, it would be very difficult for you to like search for everything in the code. So in order to quickly find such secrets or such leaked information, we have this beautiful tool called Truffalog, and you can like search for Git repositories. You can actually search for GitHub, the repositories on GitHub. You can search for repositories on GitLab. You can search for different file systems as well inside a particular file system. Like let's say there is a directory on the computer which you want to be scanned. So like you can use the file system functionality to scan directories. You can scan S3 buckets, publicly available S3 buckets for secrets. And you can also scan system logs or syslogs to find any kind of sensitive information that is actually been logged into systems. So let's, so like this is one of the tools that you can use to automate your findings. The syntax is very simple. You can just like write Truffalog, GitHub. And after that, you have to provide your token. Okay, so like your token is the developer token that actually that you can access through the GitHub developer portal. So you have to create a new token for yourself and you have to provide the token over here. The reason is very simple. If you like directly run a scan against GitHub, it is immediately going to block you because GitHub does not allow any kind of bot services to scan the network. But if you provide a valid token, the GitHub takes it as a legit user and allows you to scan any repository. So you have to provide a token over here. I'm just writing XYZ right now. And after that, you have to provide a particular repository name, right? So like the name of the organization. So you can just give minus org and like let's just give a a random name like this, and just press enter, and it will scan this particular organization for you and all the repositories under this organization, and it will list down any secret that is available in this particular organization ever deployed by any particular developer. Okay. So Trufflelog is a good tool to automate it. So we completed the first part, that is public information gathering. And now obviously the next is a root domain. So we already looked at a lot of information about the root domain. Now, what is root domain? This canva.com, only this much part. Okay. Canva.com is the root domain, nothing else. So what did we look at in the first part about the root domain? We looked at the Whois data. We used the Whois tool to get access to the Whois data. We looked at the ASN, autonomous system number, right now. And couple of things that are pending is the Favicon recon now. What is Favicon? Okay. If you look at any website, you will find there is a small icon at the top over here. If you look at this website, there is a small icon over here of GitHub. There is a small icon over here of Evita. There is a small icon over here of mail.google.com. Now, this particular file is known as favicon.ico. So, like, this is the Google's favicon.ico. And like, if I want to reverse search about, okay, let's take an example. Like, there are 10 different domain names which all share the same favicon, but I don't know which of those domains actually share the same favicon, right? I want to enumerate all those domains. So I can do a reverse favicon search and try to find all the assets that are using the same favicon icon. And basically this will help me to increase my target surface and get me access to all the domains under the same company. So I can like use a favicon hash calculator. Okay, and I think I can go to this random. This is not available. Okay, this is a great tool now which we can use. So let's just take this example over here, and what it does is you can provide a favicon hash, a favicon file to it, and it will immediately calculate its hash for you, and you can use that hash to search for those particular websites on Shodan. So let's just quickly demo it so that everyone understands it, how it is exactly being used. So to install that tool, I'll just write this command, which will basically clone the repository for me. It's cloned. I'll go inside the repository and I'll install all the requirements. Okay. And okay, it's installing all the requirements. So this is how you actually install tools whenever you are like looking for tools on GitHub. So this is the most common if you have any Python based tool. Let's run that script. It's favicon.py, and it was asking us for one particular URL, right? We had this particular URL of Google Favicon. So let's just provide this, and you can see it gave me a hash. Now this particular file, this favicon.ico file, has this particular hash associated with it. And if I run a reverse search, like any website on the internet that is associated with this particular hash or this particular file, if I want access to all those websites, I can just run a reverse search on Shodan and get access to all of them. So I just ran a reverse search. It's looking, and you can see I got a lot of websites, more than 90,000 websites on the internet that is sharing the same favicon. So this all websites, they belong to Google because they share the same favicon, right? This can be like anything. This can be some internal website of Google, public facing website, IP addresses, private IP addresses, public IP addresses. This can be anything. So like this is how you can get more assets of one particular company. Cool. Let's now move to okay, brute forcing TLD. This is also something very important. So like, did you see this is called top level domain .com, .in, .org. This is your TLD. And basically, if there exists something called as google.com, okay, there can also be google.de. There can also be, see, there exists google.de, right? There can also be google.co.in. So how you can get access to more and more websites like this? Let's say there is a company, they host something called as xyz.com and also have another website xyz.in. They have one more website xyz.de. You need access to all those websites in order to increase your attack surface. So you can basically brute force this particular top level domain, which is .com, and get access to like more and more websites associated with the same first level domain. So if there exists github.com, you can try github.de, you can try github.pl, you can try github.co.in. And if there exists any such website, you'll get access to it as well. So there are multiple tools which are used for fuzzing, and I'll showcase all of them to you in a minute. So you can like, if you understand the concept of brute forcing TLD, this will be very easy for you to enumerate all the top level domains associated with one particular website. And this basically increases your attack surface. And lastly is DNS recon. DNS recon simply means the domain name service recon. And you basically resolve domains based on like the domain name service. Let's say there is one particular domain name which is not publicly accessible. Okay, it is if you visit facebook.com, it might not be accessible. It shows you that the particular domain is down right now, but it is accessible when you resolve it through a domain name service. So like facebook.com is not accessible, but www.facebook.com is accessible. So let's say you resolved www.facebook.com and like you're able to visit that particular domain. So sometimes you have to resolve domain names and get access to them. So that is basically DNS recon. You perform domain name service reconnaissance to enumerate more and more domains of one particular system and get access to it. And reverse IP search is very simple. Okay, let's say I have an IP address now. I have an IP address 172.168.10.36. I don't know who owns that IP address. So like I can just go to IP2 domain. Okay. I can go to any service called IP2 domain lookup. MX Toolbox is one of the most common services that everyone uses. Let us find the IP address of apple.com. So if I just ping apple.com, it will show me the IP address as well. Okay, so this is the IP address. If you notice once again, it's a 17 dot series because it's a series that is associated with Apple itself. So any IP with 17, give it a guess that it might be belonging to Apple. So if I like search for this particular IP now through reverse lookup, so like you can see like there are you can see that like, there are a lot of domain names available on the 17 series over here, and like all of them belong to different top level domains. They don't belong to the same top level domain. Some belong to .com.sg, some are .ca, .de, and they all have different ASN numbers as well. So you basically reverse searched an IP and you got access to a lot more domains which belong to Apple. See, this is completely different. Okay, right now. But because it was sharing the same ASN number, you got access to this particular domain as well. So basically, Apple owns this. Okay, and you can also hack on this, and it will basically affect Apple. So that's how you can reverse search for IP addresses and get access to a lot more domains. See, this is also different. This is also different. Okay. All right, so that was root level domain enumeration. Next is subdomain enumeration. So basically, if you noticed over here, there were a lot of this type of domains. Okay, itunes.apple.com. Now, what is itunes.itunespartner.apple.com? What is let's take another example, asia.apple.com. So the apple.com is your root domain, and asia.apple.com is the subdomain. Let's say icloud.asia.apple.com. So it's a subdomain of apple.com. All right. So like if you want to understand, let's take an example of how actually websites operate to understand what are subdomains and how they are used in the application. Okay. If you consider a very if you consider an example of an e-commerce platform, an e-commerce platform cannot work on itself. Like if you consider ebay.com won't be operating everything. There is an API service which is basically hosted somewhere. There is a database server which is hosted somewhere. There are JS files, there are images, there is static content, there is dynamic content. Everything is hosted somewhere, right? It is not hosted only on ebay.com. So basically subdomains, such as for an API, you might have a subdomain. For database, you have a subdomain. For static content and for dynamic content, you might have a subdomain to actually store that data. So similarly, websites, they create different subdomains for different purposes, for different events. Asia.apple.com might be hosting data which is related to Asian events. Okay, and if I take itunespartner.com, it might be hosting data which is related to iTunes. You cannot list down everything on apple.com. You have different subdomains to list down different data. So this is where subdomains come into play. And subdomains are not only used for listing data, but sometimes also to store data. Subdomains might be hosting an S3 bucket as well. So our subdomains might be hosting some sensitive files as well. So there are some tools that help us to enumerate subdomains, and one of those tools is Subfinder. It's really a cool tool, and it's like really fast. So this is the basic syntax. Subfinder -D stands for domain, and you have to write apple.com. I'll press enter, and it will enumerate subdomains for Apple. If you need the public repository of Subfinder, you can just search for Subfinder GitHub, and it is built by Project Discovery. It's very simple to install, just one line command. This is the command that you have to enter on your command line. Just copy it and directly paste it. But you need to have Golang installed. All right. So Golang is available on their website, on the official Golang website, and you can first install Golang and then install this tool using this particular command. So okay, just look over here. It found 29,688 subdomains of Apple. There are so many. All right. If you look over here, there are like so many subdomains of Apple, and each of the subdomains might be alive right now, might not be alive right now. By alive, I mean they are publicly accessible, they are not publicly accessible. Apple might have removed them as well, or Apple might be still hosting some data on this. And some of them might also be not hosting any data. They're just there. Okay, so this domains, they might be hosting, let's say one of this domain is hosting any sensitive information like an S3 bucket. And that S3 bucket contains PII information of every single person who bought an Apple device till now. Because whenever you buy an Apple device, they need to have that record, right? That this particular person has bought an Apple device from my store. And where is the data being stored? They might be storing it on an S3 bucket. They might be storing it on their own personal server, or maybe like on their own personal database. And that database is actually being hosted somewhere so that the person who is actually tallying the data can access the data. So one of the subdomain might actually be hosting that data as well. You just need to look for it. You need to visit every single domain personally on on your browser, like just copy this and paste it on your browser and try to visit it. That's one way of doing it. And what's the another way of doing it is screenshotting every single domain through an automation software. So there is a great tool called GoWitness. Okay. And GoWitness, what it does is it basically screenshots every single web page. Whatever URL you provide to this particular domain, it will screenshot it for you. So you do not have to go through 29,000 subdomains manual by copy pasting them. All you have to do is provide this tool the list of all the subdomains that you found, and it will screenshot every single domain for you and store them in a folder for you. So what you have to do is you just have to go through 29,000 images one after the another. That's more simpler than going through every single domain, right? I know 29,000 images sound a lot, but to hack, we really have to do something, right? We have to work hard if we really want to access the sensitive information. So this is one great tool. And similar to SubFinder, there is another tool called Asset Finder, which again helps you to find subdomains. And why there are multiple tools? Because each tools, it uses different sources to access data, to gather data. So see, Asset Finder again found a lot of domains, all right, within a single second. We just entered and there are a lot of domains. I'm going to cancel the scan right now because they're not going to actually go into deep of every single domain. But if you look what are these subdomains now? ID2, IAD2 D1.IAD2.apple.com. Okay, this might be hosting some type of information that we are not aware of right now. Apple might be using it for some internal purpose as well, but because it is on internet, we will be able to access it. See, as I was saying, there might be some S3 bucket data. So as you can see, the name itself suggests it's a production bucket of AWS. Maybe this is alive now, maybe this is not alive now. Let us just try to visit it and see if we are able to access anything. Okay, the domain is alive. See, it is redirecting me to register.apptest.apple.com. Okay. So okay, this is just a system which basically shows that the system is up and running. Okay, no worries. So you can just visit every single domain or just screenshot it through GoWitness and try to find, if you see in the screenshot, if you see any files listed, or the screenshot, if you see any kind of sensitive data, you immediately know that, okay, I found a subdomain which has sensitive data hosted, right? Then you can manually visit it and, okay, see, this is an API subdomain now. Okay, this is an API and it also has WAF over it. So you can also assume what exactly this particular domain is doing. This is a store QA1. Okay, this is a store-based domain. It might be storing some data of one particular store. I also saw something related to Siri. Okay, this is something related to Siri. So all these subdomains were hosted at one particular point and or might be still available to you and are hosting some amount of data. Okay, so that's related to subdomain enumeration. We found two tools, Asset Finder and SubFinder. And these both tools, they basically help you to enumerate a lot of subdomains from many different sources and list them down to you. What's next? Now there are online services as well, such as cert.sh. If you're familiar with certificates, websites, they use certificates to get access to, to get identity of themselves, right? Certificate is like a fingerprint for them, which basically identifies themselves with an organization. So let's take this quick example. I want to search for every single domain which is associated with Facebook based on the certificate. So I can just come to this website called cert.sh and I can just type in my domain, facebook.com, and it will search for every single domain that is associated with Facebook. It's taking some time. Just give me a minute. Right. So if you come to this, if you come to this particular data now, you can see these are all certificates, all right. And whoever issued this certificate to Facebook, based on that, domains are classified. So you will find a lot of certificates are issued to Facebook till now. and I want to search for all Facebook domains. So I can just give an asterisk over here like this and press enter. Okay. Well, I think there are like not much info about this, but you can use like this particular script as well, or there is also this really cool tool called certsh.py, and you can use this tool as well to get access to those domains. All right, so what I can do is I can just provide this tool a bunch of like a domain name. I can press enter. And it is going to list down to me all the domain names based on the certificates which are associated with apple.com. So sometimes subfinder and asset finder might not find use of subdomains, but based on certificates issued, certsh will find you those domains, right? So we do not want to leave any data behind, but we want to like go deep into every data that we find in every subdomain we can find. So okay, there is okay. Let's see if we can find anything with -w, -r, wildcard and recursive. I'm going with both of the switches. By the time, let's look at some more information. We looked at certsh. Let's look at GitHub and Google once again. How GitHub and Google can help us with finding subdomains. So, okay, there is Red Bull. Let's search for all.redbull.com. Okay, Astro is not working. So let's just search for redbull.com. Okay, nothing. Let's search for redbull.com on open GitHub, and I think 17,000 codes once again. See, if you look at this particular repository, someone posted a lot of subdomains of redbull.com. He must have scraped it, right? So like sugarfree.redbull.com, rbskr.redbull.com. These are all subdomains that someone has already found and he has dumped them on internet. If you look at this particular person now, he has also posted some domains. These are not subdomains, but root domains of redbull.com. I don't know if they actually belong to Red Bull because they're a little different, but let's assume they belong to Red Bull. So you can also use this particular domains like darredbull.com for your research, right? Once again, if you go to different repositories of Red Bull associated with Red Bull, like you can find some URLs like this on GitHub. Now, right now you're watching www.redbull.com, but there might also be some internal subdomain that one of their let's say employee might have posted accidentally on GitHub. So there are more subdomains like this. Okay, any one of this might be an internal subdomain of Red Bull, which any tool didn't give you. But this particular repository, it has some subdomains, and you've got access to that particular subdomain, which is an internal subdomain, or which is used for internal communication by Red Bull. So this is how GitHub can also help you to find such sensitive information. And there is also a tool called GitHub Subdomain available on the internet. So this is the tool called GitHub Subdomains. You can use this tool to find subdomains of any particular organization. It's very simple to install. Once again, you need Golang to be installed on the computer, and you can just give this command to install GitHub Subdomains. It's very simple to use. Just provide it a string. Just provide it a domain name using -d. and that's it. It will find any subdomain from all over the GitHub which is associated with that particular string that you provided or with the particular domain name that you provided. So to give you like an overview, this is how it looks. You provided a domain name called snapchat.com, and it will like find you all the domain names, all the subdomains associated with it that it found on GitHub. The reason is very simple. The reason to use multiple sources is very simple. You will find more information. You will not miss out anything. Subfinder, Asset Finder, these tools might provide you some information, but using tools like GitHub subdomains or manually looking for subdomains provides you an extra coverage on the internet and helps you find more information, right? So that is the reason you should use multiple tools. What's more? Okay, we looked at Subfinder, Asset Finder. These are similar tools. AMAS is again a similar tool, but it's much more advanced than, you know. Okay, see, we found a lot of domains through cert sh now. We went through recursive search, right? Okay, the list is really long. So like there are a lot of tools. We left the search behind, and as you can see, we found like a huge list now. Okay, so let's just skip this. We also found certain wildcards over here. So let's go to AMAS. Okay, so AMAS is a great tool once again. We will use the enum module of AMAS. So this is how the AMAS works. If I run the help menu of AMAS, it has 5 particular subcommands. The first is intel, which is basically intelligence. The second is enum, which stands for enumeration. So we already completed intel, the first slide that we looked at over here, this particular slide, and everything under this. All this is provided by AMAS as well under the intel command, under the intel subcommand. Now we are going to look at enumeration, right? So we want to enumerate our target. So let's just look at enum. And what does enum provide? So I'll run a help menu against enum now. It's taking some time. Okay, so as you can see over here, it helps you with a lot of stuff. Like you can look for active zone transfers and certificate grabs. You can search for IP ranges. You can search for ASN numbers as well. Okay, you have an ASN number and you want to look for every single domain associated with that particular ASN number. You can do it. You can do it with AMAS as well. So like there is a lot. It helps you to search for CIDR ranges. You have a CIDR range. You can search for that. It helps you to brute force searches. Okay, so let's just quickly. Okay, let's see what we can do now. Let's give it a domain name using -d. Apple.com, and let's see if there is some interesting information that we can try to find. Let's just search for this much. Okay, so I'm trying to enumerate all the domains, all the subdomains that are associated with apple.com right now using AMAS. Now the reason to use AMAS is very simple, because AMAS actually helps you find data from a lot more resources than Subdomain and Asset Finder helps you. All right, Subdomain and Asset Finder are quite fast, but they help you find a lot of subdomains. Okay, similar to AMAS, but AMAS always provides you with an extra edge of 20 to 25%. So in order to not miss those 20-25%, you need to use AMAS as your as a quite strong tool. If you look, there are just so many sources. These are the amount of sources that AMAS uses to find data, okay, for you. And Asset Finder and asset finder, sub finder, these tools, they use very few sources out of all of them, out of all of this. So that is like an extra edge that you cover using AMAS. All right, so it's going to take time. Let us keep this in background now and move on to a next slide. And later on, we'll look at the result. So we covered root domains. Let us go through this tool called GoTrader. Okay, GoTrader is again very simple tool. But basically, what till now we were doing is we were using passive enumeration. Okay, what does passive enumeration means is that it tries to fetch all the data from an existing source. Okay, these are existing sources which has data script. And what you're trying to do is you're trying to fetch data from these sources. So this is known as passive enumeration. But what does active enumeration mean? Active enumeration means you are actually trying to identify whether the particular source exists or not in life. Okay, so there is a tool. So let's say, for example, let's take an example first. I want to see if ads.facebook.com exists or not. I don't know. So I have to like visit ads.facebook.com, right? And if I try to visit it, I can say like, okay, it redirected me to facebook.com. So ads.facebook.com actually exists and it is basically redirecting me. That's simple. So I want to like see, okay, let's see 123.facebook.com exists or not. Okay, 123.facebook.com does not exist. So I have to like go through every single permutation and combination to find whether this particular subdomain exists or not. So for this purpose, there is a tool called GoTrader. It's very simple to use, and let's just go through its documentation once. Let us just go through its documentation, and once again, it's very simple to install. You just run this command. And you must have Golang installed first of all. After that, what it does, it provides a permutation and combination. So let's say the target subdomain is tested demo2. Okay, and the number is set and the number of flag is set to 1. That how many permutation combination do you need? So it will like look for every single permutation combination on its own like this. It will try to change the numbers, change the data that you provide, combine different strings from the word list that you provide, and try to enumerate any subdomain that might be existing. Okay, so let's say you have multiple words in your word list. There is a word list called dev. There is also a word list called demo, and the root domain is example.com. So you can try for dev.example.com. You can try for demo.example.com. You can try for dev.demo.example.com, and you can also try for demo.dev.example.com. Let's say you have one more keyword, root.example.com. So what you can do is dev.root.demo.example.com. How many times you are going to do this thing? You cannot do this on your own, right? So this amazing tool, GoTrader, it helps you do this very quickly. Just all you have to do is like provide it a word list with all the permutations and combinations that you think might be existing, might not be existing, and try to brute force it against the domain. Okay, so this is the command that you can use. It's very simple. Just write the name of the tool. Then you give -sub, which basically holds the root domain. Okay, example.com or facebook.com. Then you give -perm, which basically means permutation, and you give this word list, this particular word list of the domain. And after that, you give one more flag, which is depth, which is basically 2. Okay, the depth 2 means like how many permutation combinations you must try and how deeply like you can change the data. Okay, so if there is test 10.example.com, there are 2 depth, so it will like try to enumerate it to, it will like try to change the data to up to 2 depths, and it can go like test9.example.com and test8.example.com like that. And there are like 5 permutation combinations that you can try. Okay, and save the output in a file. So like the GoTrader tool, it helps you to find more and more domains based on active enumeration. Let's see if AMAS ended up or not. Okay, so AMAS, see, it's really quite slow and it has only found 1 domain till now. But trust me, this is definitely worth. Okay, so like just leave it running for some time. We finished boat rater, like it helps you to enumerate data based on permutations and combinations. Next is a very interesting tool, hack crawler, and like how this helps. Okay, let's see, this is the website. Okay, and if I look at the source code of this website, it has a lot of links. It has S3 buckets, it has GitHub user assets, it has a lot of links inside it, and I want all these links. Okay, so what I have to do is I have to basically scrape them, right? So I can use this tool called hack crawler. Okay, Amos found a couple of more. Let's leave it running again. I'll open a new tab. I'll enter into my Kali system. Okay, let's use this tool called hack crawler. I'll create a new file. With my root domain, I'll just simply provide, and I'll simply pipe this file with the tool through hack crawler. Okay, and let's press enter and see if it finds us anything. I think Facebook is blocking us. So let's just go through. So let's just try to understand what hack crawler actually does first, if there is an example over here. I think Facebook is blocking us right now. It is not allowing us to run any automated test. Let's try again. Okay, great, it worked. So, okay, as we took an example, like I have this particular website right over here. This is the website, and like there are so many links over here. I want access to all these links at once, because I want to look if any of this link is dead right now, or if any domain name out of this is claimable. If I'm able to claim any of this domain name, I can serve any malicious content, right? And that would be rendered by this particular website. Let's assume githubassets.com. I can claim this domain now, and it is free for sale. So I can just enumerate this domain through this tool, hack crawler, at once, and I can I can see if this domain, if I can claim this domain or not. I'll claim it, and I'll immediately post some malicious content on this particular domain, and github.com will be rendering it for me. So this particular tool, hack crawler, it helps me, list down all the sources from where data is being fetched, or any URL that is present in the source code of this particular web page. Okay, so like you can see, there are so many links, and many times you will find a lot of sensitive data over here as well. Certain links might be they might be containing an internal endpoint. Like this is an endpoint, right? So you will find links that might contain internal endpoint, or any endpoint that you might have never seen before. So you can use this tool called hack crawler to gain access to those sensitive endpoints, sensitive information, certain files that you don't know yet or you missed while checking. So this is how the tool works, and it will list down all the all the files for you from the source code. Let's see. Okay, EMAS is still going on. What's next after hack crawler? Okay, and lastly, we have to enumerate all the live domains, right? Okay, so what does this mean? We went through subfinder to find like a lot of domain names. Okay, the subfinder, it gave us okay, then there is some issue. Okay. So let's take Facebook, for example, this time. So subfinder will help us find all the subdomains that are associated with Facebook, right? But we are not sure if those domains are live or not. So there is a tool called HTTPX, which will help us find whether those domains are live or not. So let us just go through its documentation once. And this is the tool that is available on GitHub. It is once again developed by Project Discovery, and it is very simple to install. You just have to enter this command on your command line with Golang installed, and that's it. HTTPX will be immediately installed. Okay, so Subfinder, it found 321 subdomains of facebook.com, and all of them are stored over here in a file called apple.txt. Okay, if I cat, like show, it is 321 subdomains. Now I want to check whether all the subdomains are alive or not. So what I can do is I can just cat them and pipe it with this tool called HTTPX. Okay, and I can give output to Apple. It's not Apple, it's Facebook. Facebook alive.txt. Okay, so what I'm doing over here is I'm reading the file and I'm piping this file with HTTPX. HTTPX, it is a tool that is developed to find whether the URLs that are provided to this particular tool are alive or not. So it basically checks for port 80 and port 443, and if those ports are accessible, it basically means that your website is alive. Okay, and I'm saving the output in a file called facebookalive.txt for this demo purpose. Let us press enter, and okay, you guys can see like it is trying to enumerate domains. Okay, and out of 321, it only found, I don't know, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 domains alive. So instead of enumerating 321 domains on your own, you can like just go through the 7 domains. Like HTTPX, it will enumerate every single domain for you, which is alive. And now you have to only go through the 7 domains. But trust me, Facebook does not have only 321 domains. Facebook has like more than 5,000 domains alive. And for that, you need to use tools like EMAS to get access to all those domains. Okay, so this is one example why Subfinder and Asset Finder are not enough. You have to use tools like EMAS because it helps you scrape data from a wide variety of sources instead of just instead of a handful of sources. Cool. So see, okay, as you can see here, EMAS is working and it has found like a lot of more subdomains. All right, so these are all Apple bot services, and like these are all other subdomains that EMAS found. So now we have to only go through this. Coming back to Facebook, now we only have to go through this 7 files, and that's it. It has only 7 URLs. So you only have to go through the 7 URLs instead of 321 to find the alive URL, to find the alive websites on which you can hack. Simple, right? So HTTPX, it helps you find alive domains. Recapping what we did, first of all, we found subdomains using tools like Subfinder, Asset Finder, and EMAS. Okay. After that, we looked at cert.sh, certificate transparency, and based on the certificates issued to a website, we are trying to find subdomains. We looked at GitHub to find subdomains, and similarly, you can also use Google to find subdomains. Okay, so what you can do is like you can go in URL facebook.com. Okay, and let's keep it more restricted. Let's go for site. So site will only show us anything related to facebook.com, right? So along with facebook.com, it will also show us any subdomain over here. So you can use Google as well to enumerate the subdomains like business.facebook.com, pay.facebook.com. Then there is transparency.facebook.com, code.facebook.com, mbasic.facebook.com. These are all subdomains, right? So you can also use Google manually to enumerate subdomains. But by default, tools like SubFinder, Asset Finder, AMAS, they also enumerate this particular, they also enumerate subdomains from Google as well for us. So you do not need to do this manually, but this is just, we are trying to clear the basics as well of how Google Docking and, other functionalities work. So in future, you can also write certain tools of your own. So you can also use Google to find subdomains like this. After that, we looked at GoTrader, which is actually, a tool that can be used to find subdomains by different permutations, combinations, and alterations. You provided a word list of different subdomains, and it will try to enumerate subdomains based on it. We looked at crawling a website. So how does crawling a website help us? Basically, it will list down all the sources from where data is being fetched, and you can see if any of the data which is being fetched is actually like any of the domains are claiming. If you can actually claim any of those domains. So maybe you can like see what exactly the data source is hosting for you. Okay. And lastly, we used a tool called HTTPX, which is used to check whether the subdomains that you enumerated are live or not. Let's look at the last part of the section about the reconnaissance of web applications. And it's very simple. It basically includes some common things like checking for WAF, if the application has any WAF installed or not. Second thing is screenshotting pages. We already looked at screenshotting pages in our previous slide using GoWitness. We used GoWitness tool to like look for to screenshot pages. And I was about to show you guys what is fuzzing, like how to fuzz websites for sensitive data and how to fuzz website for top level domains, right? So let us get all this thing aside. And there is a tool called FUF. Okay. FFUF. There is a tool called FUF which you can use to basically fuzz websites. Now, if you remember, when we did the index of search, okay, when we searched for index of, let's do this once again. Okay. So I went through this particular website through Google Doc, and it has a secret directory and it has some data over it. Now, I'm not sure if this is really secret or what this is, but it does not interest me much. But this is a directory. Okay. Our interest for fuzzing is right now over here. This is a directory which we have to enumerate. Let's say Google Doc didn't help you find it. Okay. So let me just add this for our demo. Okay. So I want to find whether a directory called /secret actually exists in our particular, on that particular website or not. So what I can do is, I've already copied that website. Let me just write the command and then explain you what I'm doing. So there is a tool called FFUF, which is available on GitHub for free. It is once again a Golang based tool. So you can install it through a single command. And after that, you have to provide it a URL. So minus u switch, you have to give minus usage and provide it a URL. Okay. So this is the URL that we are using temporarily for demo purpose. And after that, I have provided it a word list file. So what is a word list file? Let me just show you. So this is a word list that I'm providing to fuzz. Basically, what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to look for this particular sensitive pages or this sensitive directory on the web page. Like this is a sensitive directory, right? /secret. Forget all this thing after this. Only look at /secret. This, if I directly visit /secret on this particular website, I'll get access to all this data, right? This can be secret, this cannot be secret, but let us just focus on fuzzing. If I want to find whether /secret exists on this website or not, I have to somehow like include all the permutations and combinations. Similarly, there can also be an app_dev.php. Okay, the name itself suggests it's a development page. Okay, so it might be having some type of sensitive information, let's say related to the production server. So in order to enumerate this type of files and this types of directories, we use fuzzing. Okay, and fuff is one of the tools that can help us to fuzz this types of files and directories. So if I use this command, once again, let me just explain the command. This is the name of the tool. This is the URL that I'm providing, and this is the word list. Okay, the word list contains around 30,000 different words that it will test. That it will basically it will test over here. It will test for some random secret word at once, and then it will test for app_dev.php, and then it will test for another word called robots.txt, which is a file. Then it will test for something else. So this is how the tool will work, and it will list down any single directory or every single file that it will find. So let me just press enter and show you what exactly we are going to look at now. So okay, let me just stop it. It's going all false positives. But if you look, it found a /secret. Okay, and how do I identify whether all these files really exist or not? So sometimes the applications, they give you false positives, but one way of identifying whether this particular directory really exists or not is by looking at the size. So whenever a server, it gives you some response, and if that response is valid, basically the size would be greater than 0. So like the size is 237, right? And it's a status code 301. The status code 301 means it means that it basically redirected me to a different page, but it has some data. So I can basically assume that /secret might be existing on the page. It also has 14 words on the page, and there are something like 8 lines on this particular page. So that's one. So like this is how I can enumerate all the files on the particular domain. And let's say I want to like I do not want to print all this domains, all these files which has size 0. So what I can do is I can add a switch called -fs, which basically means filter size, and filter all the sizes which is equal to 0. So do not print anything that is equal to 0. If I press enter, you see now I do not have any of those results which has size 0, right? So it is filtering anything which is equal to 0, and it is only printing the ones that are valid, right? So I think this website is really slow because 12 requests per second, 13 is really not a big deal. Let's take a good website and try to see the real speed of puff. Let's take Facebook. I hope it should not block us. You see what is the speed? It's 5,000, approx 5,000 requests per second. So the FUF is really a fast tool when you want to fuzz websites, all right? And I think within 15 seconds, it will like go through all the 38,000 words that I have in my word list. And like, okay, within 12 seconds it did, not even 15, within 12 seconds with 40-50 requests per second, 4,050 requests, okay, by 40-50, that's what I mean. And it will like immediately help you find any sensitive file or folder that exists on that particular website. So that's how you can use fuzzing to enumerate sensitive files and folders. Okay, let's look at these tools, link finder and JS finder. To explain that, I have to like take you through a quick demo first of all. Okay, let's just take any random JS file. Is there app.js? Let's take a different. Okay, let's take this website now, for example. Okay, and is there app.js file over here? Okay, these are all static content files, so they are not any of our interest because they contain all static data. Basically, we look for files such as main.js and app.js because those are the files which actually contain like sensitive information, which actually contains the code that is written by the developer, right? But let's just quickly also look how do we actually recon this particular source code as well, because that is where we live. So this is the source code of the website. If you want to access it, it's very simple. You can just right click and you can just go at view page source, or you can press Ctrl+U and it will directly open this source code for you. This is the HTML front-end source code. So how do we audit this now? First of all, like you can look for information, for sensitive information in this particular page. For example, you can search for keywords like secret. It has no secret keyword. Okay. Let's search for API, and you can see there is an API key hard coded in this particular website. Let me just zoom in a little. And there is an actual API key hard coded in this website, and you can also see like which service does this API key belong to. So it belongs to Olim, and you can like perform some easy enumeration on olim.com. You can go to olim.com and see what this website is actually. Okay, so it's a chatbot service. So to like implement a chatbot on their website, they're using this API. Now I'm not really sure whether like this API key is exploitable or not. Okay, so what you can do is you can refer to the API documentation of olim.com and see like, is it a good practice to actually hard code their API key or not? And based on that, you can like take further action. So this is one part of recon. Second, what you can do is you can search for keywords like AWS. You can search for keyword like S3. Okay, S3 simply represents S3 buckets. A lot of times S3 buckets, they have this keyword S3 or Amazon in them. So you can like search for such keywords. And next you search for .js. .js means you're searching for JavaScript libraries. JavaScript files. And like you will find a lot of JavaScript files over here. So you should look for files like main.js and app.js because those files, they contain sensitive data, which is actually of our interest. Okay. So this static chunk files are not really of our interest anymore because they all contain static data from some third-party vendor or some third-party library most of the time. And you're never going to find anything interesting in it. So okay, let's just skip this website. Let's go to a different website. Okay, there's no app.js. There's no main.js. How many JS files exist? There are like 15 JS files. Okay, just quickly look. No mind, leave. So let's just perform recon on this particular JS file. So like this is the JS file, let's say written by developer. Okay, So what you can do is you can come to any random JS file that you can come to like, sorry, not any random. You can find some JS files on the application which you think might be written by developer and it is not a static JS file that might belong to Bootstrap or that might belong to any third-party library service. And you come to a developer written JS file, which basically contains the application logic, and you try to search for keywords like secret. Okay, so like you get an idea there is some secret that is actually being fetched from the environment over here. You can search for API. Okay, so there is also some. Oh, okay, see, we found some endpoints like API/load more. What's more? There is JS API. Like, okay, they're using an Apple CDN, okay, to load some data. I think this is for the Apple auth, like they have a service to log in with Apple. So that is where they're using this file. See, there is also a put method that is used against API Android privacy scene.json. So like you get a lot of idea about how the application is actually being used. Okay, there is a URL /API/completion.json. So you can like actually try to visit one of this. Let's just randomly try if we can find anything. See, we actually found some data. There is a JSON file which is actually hosted at search.ch. Okay, so maybe this JSON file must be having some logic, and that's how it is giving us this data. So like you can enumerate some endpoints, and sometimes there are files like user.json hard coded. There are files like api.json, which basically contains, or there are files like secret.json, which basically contains all the secrets that are associated with that particular website, or environment.json. Developers, they forget this kind of files and to remove this kind of files from the source code, and that's how we can get access to the sensitive information. Okay, so you must be having like the sensitive keywords in your mind, such as secret, then API key, then maybe you can search for AIZA, which is again a Google domain, Google API key. You can search for AIKA, you can search for AWS, you can search for more JavaScript files inside a JavaScript file. Okay, you will find a lot of JavaScript files inside JavaScript file. And you can also try to understand the source code of how the developer has implemented certain functionalities in the application. So that is mostly JavaScript reconnaissance. And so like the JavaScript through hack crawler, the tool that we use. So AMAS is still running. It's going to take a long time, I think. So if you remember, through hack crawler, we were able to find a lot of files, right? Which also included JavaScript files. Let us just quickly run it once again. See, let me just stop it for now. You can see like there are a lot of JavaScript files, right? Like this. So you can just simply like go inside each of the JavaScript file also manually and try to find secrets from JavaScript. More than that, there are certain tools like link finder and asset finder, which can help you to like enumerate a lot of sensitive stuff from the JavaScript files. So let's just take a preview of one particular tool. Let me go to tools. So there is a tool called Link Finder, which is available on GitHub. Okay. So I give the -i to input the URL, like it's for input, and -o is for output. And I want the output to be printed on command line. So I'm giving CLI as my argument. I think syntax error. What's the command to give output? It's minus O. No. And let's just only give minus D for domain this time. I think there is some issue with this tool right now. It's so okay, it worked. Cool. So like you can see, it gave us certain endpoints and also HTML files. It also gave me this API completion JSON file. There is also an API Android privacy scene JSON. Okay, let us try to visit. Let us like try to enumerate more. It's trying to find more, and like you can see this. These are some more endpoints that are available on the application. So basically, Link Finder is a tool that will help you find all the pages, all the endpoints, and all the files that are hard coded in the application itself. So you can like just directly search for Link Finder on GitHub, and it's a Python tool, so it's simple to install. You basically clone the repository and just run the python setup.py install command inside the repository that you have cloned, and it will install Link Finder for you. That's it. You simply provide it a URL, a JS file using -i, and using the -o, you can save the output in a HTML format. So like you can open it in your browser, or you can also provide -o as CLI, which will basically print the output on the command line itself, just like how it printed right now, like this. Okay, let me stop it. So that is Link Finder. And lastly, let's come to network reconnaissance. What is network reconnaissance? We have already actually been looking at network from the very beginning through Shodan, but there is one more tool called Nmap, which will help us to like enumerate network. So let's take a quick demo of Nmap. What does Nmap have us to offer? So basically, it will help us to scan IP address. Okay, it will help us to scan open ports on IP addresses. If you remember on Shodan, if I go to this particular IP address of Google 172.2.1.7, you will find that it has two ports open, 80 and 443. This basically means that it is a web server. Okay. There you'll find a lot of IP addresses which has like random ports open, such as port, let's say port 400, port 500, port 317, random ports open. Like there are different services that use different ports to open a service on the internet. Okay, and let's say there is a client service, there is a client VPN service that is installed. So that client VPN service needs a port to establish itself on the internet. Okay, and through that port it is communicating. So through port 80, when you try to visit a website, it is the port 80 and port 443 that communicates with you to allow you to access that website. Similarly, for example, if there is a client VPN service, that client VPN service is actually using a port, for example, let's say port 5000, to help you communicate with the client to the client VPN service that is installed locally on that system. Okay, so so in order to find those open ports on a domain, we can use this tool called Nmap, and let's give it a very simple command. Let's give it a domain name google.com. I want to find every single domain name that is open on google.com. So I'll just give it nmap google.com, and wait for a minute, and it will find all the open ports for me on google.com. By default, Nmap only scans for top 1000 ports. But if you want like a detailed scan, like there are more than 65,000 ports available. So if you want to scan like all the ports, it's gonna consume time. But so google.com is a web service. We all know it is a web page. So by default, it will allow us to like communicate over 80 and 443. So it found only those two ports open, correct? Let's see if we can find something interesting in Shodan. Let us try to scan this IP address now because it has a lot of ports open, right? I'm only going to scan top 1000 ports because it's going to consume a lot of time. If I scan all the ports, okay, I think we've blocked pin. So there is a command called -P_n, which basically means that there should be no ping. The scan must not send any ping command. Okay. So this why I'm using -P_n is because like it was blocking our scan because you are sending ping commands to the IP address. So like companies, they use this protocol. Like if there is any scan which is actually being ran against our systems, the Nmap tool, it by default sends ping commands to check whether the IP address is live or not. So the companies, they block those scans immediately if there are any ping commands. But if I send a -P_n to check whether this and basically what this will do is it will not send any ping commands to the server. So the IP address will never understand that I'm actually scanning their systems. Okay. It's consuming time. It's going to take 2 minutes. Okay, you can press enter and like see how much the process is completed. So it's previously it was 22%, 25%. It's gonna take 2 minutes. It's 30% completed. Like this, you can see. By the time, let us look at the help menu of Nmap quickly and try to find more what it can offer. So let's come to this part. So what I can do is, what we did till now, we gave it Nmap and we only provided it a domain name. Okay. Let's say I want to scan an IP address. So what I'll do is just like this, I'll provide it an IP address, Nmap, and then the IP address. We can also scan an entire subnet. Okay, so we can also scan an entire range like this. So let's say there are 16 desktops that exist in my system, that exist in my room right now, and they are like they have a series IP. They start from 192.168.0.1 to 192.168.0.16. So I can scan all those IPs like this by giving it a /16 number, and it will scan that entire range. Okay. And thirdly, if I want to scan a particular port, which is, so I can use the -P switch and specify a single port. Okay, let's see how much this is completed. 1 minute remaining. More than that, if I come up over here, there is OS detection. Okay, so we need to understand what is the operating system of the server. So there is -O switch, which helps us to understand what is the operating system that is installed on the corresponding server. If you're hacking on a target, the first thing that you need to know is, okay, what is the operating system against which I'm working or against which I'm hacking? Let's say there is a Windows system and you are supplying payloads that are equivalent to a Linux system. There is no point of it, right? You need to send payloads of a Windows system to a Windows system. You cannot supply them payloads of a Linux system. So the OS detection module basically helps you to identify the operating system that is used on the target server. So you need to provide -O switch. More than that, there are a couple of more switches over here. Like this is the -P_n switch that we were using right now. So it treat all hosts as online, basically no ping. And there is an opposite switch called -SN that this will basically only ping sweep them. So it will only send a ping command. It will only send a ping packet to the IP address, and there is no port scan. Okay, so the -P_n simply stands for I want to scan the network but do not send any ping packets, and -SN stands for I want to I only want to send ping packets, but do not scan the network. Simple. And you can also provide a list of targets using -SL. It simply just provided a list of targets, a list of IP addresses and domain names. That's it, and it will scan everything for you. Okay, so I think see, now here is the catch. This IP address is actually blocking our scans, even if we are like going through a no ping scan. So basically, it shows us that the host is up, but all 1000 ports scan, and like there is no response. All the 1000 ports are filtered. So the Shodan was showing us a couple of ports open over here, but there can be multiple reasons now. Maybe the IP address was actually blocking us, like from scanning the system, or maybe Shodan had an outdated data. Anyone is true. Let's assume that this IP address is now blocking us from scanning. So let's again take an example of facebook.com to understand the tool. I only want to scan port 80. So this is how I'm going to provide the syntax. I'm going to give nmap and then facebook.com. And last part is the port should be 80. Okay. I press enter and immediately I got the result. It scanned port 80 and it is showing me that the port is open. That's it. If I want to scan for like port 22, is port 22 open? Okay, it is filtered. It is an SSH service and it is filtered. So that's how I get, I want to scan for multiple ports. I can provide it comma based like this. That should be space over here. Like this is how I can provide multiple ports. Let's say like this, and it will scan for all these ports for me. So it found 21, 22, 23, and 80, all the ports, and 3 of them are filtered, and 1 is open for me. Let's say I give it a random port 5000. I'm not sure if 5000 is open or not. Okay, they also have 5000 port, and it is also using a service UPnP. I'm not sure what this service is. It is a filtered port. Let's take another random port 8000. They also have put 8000 open. Okay, they're also using some service on it. Facebook has a lot of data. It's like they're using so much on their root domain. They're also using port 9000. It's a CSL listener. Let's use some random 1234 port. Okay, they're also using port 1234. Or like providing something really random. Okay, so like port 4565, you can see like it's an unknown service now. The port is filtered, but like it's unknown. It does not have any service running and it's an unknown port. Okay, like if I give 65,000 as my port number, 65,000 is again filtered and like it is not running anything. So that's how you can like scan for ports. If I want to scan all 65,000 ports at once, what I can do is I can give the switch -p- and I can just press enter and it is going to scan all the 65,000 ports for me. Right? Till now, we were only scanning particular ports, 21, 22, 23, like what we provided. Now I want to scan all the ports from 0 to 65,000. So I'll just simply give the switch -p- and it is going to scan all the ports for me. It's going to take around 10 minutes. So I'm going to cancel this for now. Okay. But where this basically helps us is that, okay, now I know that they're using CSL listener on port 9000. So what I can do is I can just research about CSL listener quickly and try to see if like I can find anything from there about it. What is CSL listener? I can search for its exploit. You can go to Hacktricks and like, okay, it's a pen testing fast. It is fast CGL. So like you can look for multiple vulnerabilities that might exist, okay, on port 9000. And like this is a like public exploit that is available. And you can like try to run this exploit against port 9000 on facebook.com. Okay, so it's pen testing port 9000. Similarly, we had port 5000 open. So like maybe I can again go and port 5000 I can search for port 5000 exploit, and like I can try to find some information about what exactly port 5000, what is exactly on port 5000. So here it is showing that it is a Docker registry, but we found something different, right? We found UPnP. So I can like run particular research against this particular port. And there is an exploit in Metasploit available. So like there is also hack the box write up on the same. You can see over here by Rana Khali and hacking UPnP. See, you also have a video, right? So you can like just go through this video and try to like perform any exploit against Facebook. All right. Going back to Shodan, how Shodan helps us in network scanning. It's very simple. You go to like search for facebook.com and it will give you a list, and it will give you a list of IP addresses, like 30,000 IP addresses that belong to Facebook. Okay. That is somehow related to Facebook. So this can also help you to enumerate network sometimes, or that it can give you devices that are connected to the network of Facebook or are associated with the network of Facebook. Okay, so that's how Shodan can help you, and we already looked at how Shodan can help you in the beginning to enumerate more and more internal infrastructure of the company. All right, so that's it from my side for today. And if you have like any questions, so you can ask.
Hello, Harsha.
Hello.
Thank you so much for this wonderful session. Okay, yes, we do 13 questions. I would definitely ask you, but before that, let me post the quiz link. Okay. So this link will be, let me post the link, and then we will start with the questionnaire. Okay.
Okay.
Just give me 1-2 minutes. Okay. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you very much, Harsha, for such a wonderful session here and such a detailed things. So, and there are a lot of questions which the audience has. Also, let me tell the audience the link which will be posted, which will be consisting of not only quiz, but also feedback form and the assignment for the third session. And also those who have not filled the skill set form, the skill set form link is also given there. So that is what I wanted to make a note of. The quiz link once posted will be closed in 20 minutes. So Harsha, just can you share your screen and for a 20-minute timer?
Sure.
Yeah, once she's done with posting the link.
Sure, sir.
Also, we have pinned the link so that nobody will miss the link. So pinned the link over the top.
Just let me know when to start.
Yes. So Arundhati ma'am, you can start with the questions, please.
Okay, thank you, sir. So I would start with the first question. Okay, so the first question was, can a recon can be done with a phone number? A recon can be done with a phone number.
Yeah, you can like perform recon on a phone number as well. There are many services. One of the most common example is Truecaller, right? Basically, what information do you want to find with the phone number? Like who is the owner of the phone number, right? Or where the phone number is located right now. So if you want to understand who is the owner of the phone number, Truecaller is one of the best service I'd recommend to like, because they hold a really good database of almost all the phone numbers. And so like that's the recon part on the phone numbers. You can find who owns the phone number, and nowadays Truecaller is also providing associated email addresses. There are certain tools on GitHub, just like Phone Infoga. I think it's one of the tool. That tool, it helps you to get some more information about the phone number if you're not able to find it through Truecaller. Other than that, if you are looking for like in detail information, like if you want to find a phone number associated with a particular celebrity, you have to like go through multiple sources. Like you have to scrape data from the internet from multiple websites. Like sometimes this data might have leaked into some previous data breach. Every celebrity exists on Facebook, right? They have a personal account, and you can like search for previous Facebook data breaches on intelx.io or dhash, and there is a possibility you might find their phone numbers. So that's how you can like find phone numbers of people. Is that your question? Like, and getting phone numbers of people?
Well, the question was, can we recon? Okay, can a recon be done on a phone number? So I think this answers the.
I explained it in earlier. I explained two parts over here. Previously explained, like if you want to recon on a phone number, which basically means you want to like get data about one particular phone number. Truecaller is one of the good service available, and it will give you the name of the person who is associated with the phone number. And Truecaller nowadays is also providing email address associated with that particular person. So Truecaller is a good service if you want to recon on a phone number.
Well, thanks for answering that. And the second question is, how to find private IP addresses of any domain when NS lookup doesn't work?
Because it is a private IP, right? In order to access a private IP, you actually need to be in that network. What is a private IP? A 10. Series is a private IP. Let's say I give you an IP 10.10.38.165, like 10.10.38.91. I give you this IP. This is a private IP that is associated with the particular organization on their own intranet or their own internal network. So in order to access that particular IP, you need to be in the same network. You need to be connected either wirelessly or through a wired network, but on the same network on which the organization is. So that's the catch there. You cannot run any tool against a private IP unless and until you are on the same network.
Sorry to interrupt here. Guys, there was the issue with the acceptance of the link, but that is solved. So like you can rephrase the link and you can check everyone is able to submit it. Few people have already submitted the quiz form. Okay. And do not try to post the link into the Telegram chat. You may get eliminated. Do not try to do that.
So our next question is, can we actually pass 403 forbidden error?
Yeah, there are multiple ways you can do it. Okay, there is a tool. I'll show you first. Automation. It's 403 bypass. Actually, what's a 403 bypass? It's basically like a restriction on the web server, right? See, anyone who's trying to access this directory should be blocked. So there is a restriction. But if you logically try to bypass it, like, okay, first of all, header based. So let's say there is a header that the server is accepting, X original URL or X forwarded for, and X rewrite URL. These are three common that you will find, which are used for bypassing. And 127.0.0.1, it basically stands for localhost. Who is the localhost on a web server? The admin itself. Okay, so like when you provide this particular header in the request, the web server might assume that, okay, the admin himself is asking me for this file or this particular directory, and it will provide you access to that directory. The second is by changing the request method. For example, you are on a get method, try to like send the same request on a post method, because a developer might have added this particular part of code which like to access the same directory on a post method, but it is blocked on the get method. All right, and more than that, like you can like try different bypasses, such as if it's an Apache server, what you can do is you can like basically just try the dot semicolon slash method to bypass it, to bypass the 403. So let's say there is a, let me just give an example. Let's say there is a website called https:// okay, and there is a secret directory like this. Okay. Now by default, this is 403. It is not providing you any access. So what you can do is you can like try this particular bypass // Now, what does this mean over here? Now, if you only assume // this basically means you're going one directory back. Okay. But we do not want to go one directory back. We are blocking one directory. We are like, this is a semicolon, which basically blocks, okay, the one directory back option, and it provides you access to the secret. So like this is one of the flaw on the Apache server. It was a flaw when there was an exploit against Tomcat, the LFI exploit. I forgot the CV number. It's something 2017 CV. But this is one of the method which is most commonly used on Apache to bypass the 403. Other than that, there are two tools. One is 403 bypass, and there is one more tool. If I'm going to find it, yeah, 403 bypass over this, written by Dheeraj. These two tools have multiple permutations and combinations, as I explained, by manipulating headers or by manipulating different techniques to bypass this particular endpoint. There is also one more way. Let's say it's not an Apache server. So you can use the null byte over here, %00. Sometimes this also bypasses the actual logic implemented in the code. You can also use the %00 behind this. What you can also do is you can also like write it this way, /secret, and this might also bypass the current logic that is implemented. Like it will come over here, the application server might assume, okay, /secret, and then it will go one directory back, and again it will go /secret. The actual logic that is implemented on the web server might not be able to understand what is exactly happening over here, and it might allow you to access the particular endpoint. Another way of accessing 403s is SSRF. So let's say you have an internal SSRF on the application, or even an out-of-band injection, you might be able to access this directory. Okay, so if there is, let's say there is a UI, there is an SSRF. So you can try to access this particular directory like this, and the SSRF might be able to help you see the data under this particular directory. So these are some of the ways you can bypass 403.
Very well explained, sir. And we will move to the next question. Okay. So attacking any website with open ports are easy, but can we remain undetected, untraceable? Can we remain Okay, sure. Attacking any website with an open port can be easy, but can we remain untraceable?
You want to remain untraceable? Use a VPN.
Yeah.
Like obviously your logs are actually like the systems will log you. Like there is some kind of system remotely which is trying to send pings, or maybe it is trying to scan the infrastructure of the organization. All right, so their WAFs and their firewalls, their intrusion detection systems, IDS, IPS will definitely log you. But one of the way of like hiding yourself from them is using a VPN. That's one. Use proxy chains, and other than that, that's it. Like use a VPN. That's best. Use a good VPN. Do not use those free VPNs. Use a good VPN service available on the internet like NordVPN, and try to attack through that. Use a cloud. I'll suggest as well, because clouds, like they give you public IP addresses, right? So maybe using a cloud service and attacking through that is also might sometimes a good choice, because they will log the cloud IP address and not your IP address.
That's right. So we will move to the next question. How can we visit 504 site?
504.
How
Why do
can
you visit? Are you talking about the Cloudflare sites?
no, this was the question asked earlier. So can we visit any 504 sites?
504 error is basically a CloudFront error. So, like, this basically means that the whatever website it is actually down right now. So one of the way of like, if you want to really visit that website, try to find the private IP address. What basically services like CloudFront and Cloudflare they do is that they give a rotating public IP to a website. So any type of bot attack that should not affect the original website. Okay, it basically acts as a proxy server. So what you can do is you can try to find the original IP address of the website that is hosted, maybe through Shodan, through Censys, GitHub. Sometimes GitHub also has private IP addresses, maybe some type of data that would lead you to the private IP address if you try to look at the repositories on GitHub of that particular organization. And like you can visit the website through the private IP, because actually if you host a website, unless and until the main website is down, it is not going to disrupt any service. Cloudflare and CloudFront, they might be under maintenance for some time, or you might have you might be performing some changes on the production, because of which the CloudFront or the Cloudflare, they show that the website is currently down, but the private IP address might still be up. So try to find the private IP address and just directly try to visit the IP address, and it will lead you to the website. That's how you can bypass the 504.
Well, thank you for that detailed explanation. Uh, how can we remove longitude, latitude, and metadata from an image?
From an
How can
email
we? Yeah, image.
image.
How
Okay.
can we? Yeah, how can we figure out the longitude, latitude, or the metadata from an image?
So there are like multiple libraries for this. Remove, if you search for, like, there are also online tools available, and like there are also different libraries in Python that are used for the same. So if you like go through any of this code examples on Stack Overflow, you find it quite easy. So like there is a good library called PIL from Python. So it basically allows you to strip out any metadata that you would like to remove. So using Python, you can do it. And if you don't want to like code, there are online tools available. For example, this imageonline.com.us, it helps you to strip out metadata. So you can upload your file over here, strip out the metadata, and download the file again. That's how you can do it. Two ways. JavaScript, there are also multiple JavaScript libraries available for the same. So you can just Google them and implement it.
Right. And the next question is, what's a API key?
What's an API key? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, how do you explain it? Okay. Let's take an example of Google Maps. When you visit a website, you see you are actually, the website, they have embedded Google Maps on it. But how is that the website is actually embedding those Google Maps? And how is that that particular website is only showing the address, the exact location of that particular organization? So what happens is, this website, this owner of the website, they create an account on on the Google Cloud Developer Platform, where they offer the API. API stands for Application Programmatic Interface, and basically it helps that particular entity to only display his particular information that is associated with that particular API. So the API key that is provided has limited information to that particular person. It is like your password. You have a Facebook account, you have a username, and you have a password. Okay, when you have the password, you are only able to access your particular data. Similarly, when you have the API key, you're able to access your particular data that you have like hosted on the that you might have hosted somewhere, or that you that you want to retry from somewhere. So that's how the API works. So the API key basically helps you to like get access to that particular data. The API key is like your password.
Right. With this, we will move to our next question. How does the spider foot work? How
Sorry.
does the spider foot? How does the spider foot works?
Okay, Spiderfoot is a tool. We saw hack crawler, right? What does hack crawler do? It basically crawls the website. So by crawling we mean scrape all the websites from where my particular website is trying to scrape the data, or my particular website is trying to retrieve the data. So let's say if I look at this particular google.com search, let us search for HTTPS. Let's see how many website is this. Okay, so you can see like there are multiple websites like this from where data is actually being fetched. Okay, just like hack crawler, GoSpider is also a tool that is used to crawl this website and find all the sorry, not GoSpiders, Spiderfoot. Spiderfoot is also similar tool that is used to crawl the website and footprint the website and retrieve all the sources from where that data is being retrieved. So like there are like many other. Okay, I think. Okay, I think it's a different tool. I think I was talking about a different tool. Sorry, my mistake. Spiderfoot, right? It's a threat. It's an open source intelligence tool. Okay, it integrates. Okay, what does it provide? I've never used this tool before, but I think it's mostly an open source intelligence tool to find everything that we did manually till now. Attack surface monitoring. Okay. Okay, so like it does a lot of stuff. Just like what we did for subdomain enumeration, it has automated all this part for us. Like we did the initial recon, it has automated the initial recon. All you have to provide it any of this, like provide it an IP address, a host name, or like an ASN number, a subnet like 192.168.0.0/16, which is a CIDR range. Provided a subdomain, a top level, sorry, a root domain, a particular username of a person, a Bitcoin address, anything. Basically, whatever we did till now, it basically just automates everything. It is the tools predefined to perform certain tasks. So as soon as you provide a username or a subdomain or an IP address, the tools run and they scrape all the data, and it just basically shows you in the UI. So this is the UI over here. It, like affiliate IP addresses, and so this is Uber scan. The person has scanned Uber, and they found like the company name, unique data elements 86. It found the data from different sources. It found certain email addresses, the web content. Just like whatever we did manually till now in this entire session, everything is automated through this tool. That's the basic usage of the tool that I can explain. It searches for data breaches as well. Okay, that's great. And it also enumerates S3 buckets. Other everything is very similar to what we did.
Right. So we will move to our next question. Sir. Can we take over subdomains, and can we use inactive subdomains? Can we take over a subdomain, and can we use an inactive subdomain?
Okay. Subdomain takeover is not every time possible, first of all. Basically, the original owner of the subdomain should have like the CNAME records must be expired, first of all, or it must be pointing to a wrong domain. That's the first thing that should be in mind. And only then you can claim the subdomain. For example, if it is an S3 bucket, S3 buckets are very simple. If the name is available, you can claim it. Okay, that's simple. But talking in depth about subdomains, you want to take over a subdomain, and that subdomain is actually pointing to some record right now. So it depends. If the record to which it is pointing is claimable, then you can take over any subdomain of that particular organization. Every single subdomain, but the condition is every single subdomain must be pointing to that particular record which is expired now. Talking about services like Azure, S3, Heroku, these are quite simple to take over because they only require you to claim the name. That's it. But talking about like subdomains that are actually pointing to some CNAME, you need to check whether that CNAME is dead or not. So it's like a tricky answer, but this is what it is.
Okay, and so we will move to the next question. Is the filter size switch in? I think this question is a little bit there is spelling mistake in this. Is the filter size switch in first is available in DIRP of GoBuster?
Sorry, your voice was breaking.
Yeah, I'll just pose the question. Is the filter size switch in puff is available or available in Dirt or GoBuster?
Okay, filter size. Yes, it is available. It is available. The syntax might be different. Let me just check and show you. What is the syntax exact? Dog, right? By the way, the timer is 0, right? So Dub, and which was the other tool that you mentioned? Hello.
Yes, sir.
Can you repeat the question?
Sure. I'll do that. Is the filter size switch in FFUF is available in Dirt or GoBuster?
Okay. Let me just check in GoBuster as well. To the GoBuster does not have any such switch. I cannot see it in the help menu, and I'm not sure about Dub. I don't have Dub installed in the NAS system right now. So, and also they do not have any help menu online. So I'm not sure. I have to check it once.
Okay, so should we move to the next question then? Do you want us to move to the next question, Harsha?
Yeah. Yes. Okay, just give me a minute. I think I found out.
Okay, that's great.
Okay, in Derp, you have a switch to like ignore the HTTP code, but you don't have any such switch to ignore filter size. Okay, so you can like skip the HTTP code if there are a lot of 301s or 403. which basically means the server is blocking you now. So you can just skip 403. But there is nothing I can find for size right now. We can move to the next question.
All right. How to find endpoints and how to find endpoints. And there is one question in the chat, that is, how can we find private IP addresses?
You want to find private IP addresses. Okay.
Yes, how can we find private IP addresses? And the last question is how to find endpoints. So these are the two questions here.
Okay, so first I'll answer how to find private IP addresses. The first way is, see, in order to access a private IP, you need to be on the private network as well. Okay, and usually private addresses, they lie in 10 dot series usually, or 192 series. So if you want to find a private IP address, go to some dumps available. Let's say on Pastebin. Pastebin has a lot of dumps available. You can like just go through everything that people have posted there. You will find some private IP addresses, but you cannot access them. Secondly, if you are talking about IP addresses that are private, like to the organization, but they have an internet facing IP as well. Okay, so that you can find them using Shodan, or maybe Censys, or maybe intelx.io. These are the places where you will find such IP addresses. There are many other services. Just let me just present my screen once and show you. Is my screen visible?
Yes, sir, it is visible.
Okay, so like you can just go to this Pentest book by 62days, and you'll find like this are the amount of sources that you can use to find any data about an organization. Okay, this will include everything from domain names, IP addresses, people, their email addresses, devices connected, outdated devices, what are the systems that you are using, from top to bottom, everything. If you really go through all this one by one, you'll find a lot of information. So like, let's say you're using Shodan, you just simply search for the organization, you'll find a lot of IP addresses. Some of those IP addresses might belong to a device which is private to the organization. So that is basically private IP address for you. It's restricted to the organization, but they have an internet facing system on that particular IP address, such as a client SSL, such as a client VPN, and that's how you enumerate private IP addresses. They're private, like based on the identity, but they would be having a public IP address because people need to access it on the public internet. And the second question is how to find endpoints, right? There is a tool, Link Finder. You can use this tool to find endpoints. Okay, so what I can do is, let me just show you the command. What is happening? Okay. Okay, so what you do is, okay, this is the command. Okay, so let's just using Link Finder, you can like search for all these endpoints. I hope you understand what endpoints are. So I'll just go to these are CSS files. Yeah, these are JS files. So I just copied a bunch of JS files. Okay, I know that particular URL has a lot of JS files already. So like you can see, these are all JS files. You use the tool called Link Finder. It is available on GitHub. This is the syntax: Python 3 linkfinder.py. Then you provide -i to give input and -o to give the output. I'm giving the output on CLI itself. So I'm pressing enter. This tool has some issue with the syntax, so just give me a minute. Okay, it's working in this way. Never mind. But the syntax is this only: Python 3 linkfinder.py -i and then -o. You can try to save this result in like a result.html. Maybe I have some issue with -o switch in my system, because that is where it is again and again giving problem, but it is running well through an alias. So these are all the endpoints, okay, that the tool finds automatically. Now let's say I want to find the endpoints manually. What I can do is I can visit this particular JS file. You search for quotation marks and / and keep on searching for the string, okay, like this. Eventually you will find some endpoints, like see over here, API/load mode. JavaScript has a syntax, and you write your API, API endpoints just like this inside quotation marks /API/load mode, okay, /123. And then you like, if you have some IDs again, so you basically concatenate with this. So this is the basic syntax, right? This quotation marks and /. So this is the manual approach. If you're like quickly enumerating endpoints from a JavaScript file, you can just quickly type this particular syntax and keep on pressing enter, enter, enter. Eventually you'll come across one of this one of this endpoint like this in the JavaScript file. This is what I use a lot of times, like see images/0.gif. This actually exists. Okay, how do I know? Let's just search it. Okay, I will go to the website images/0.gif. Okay, see, this file actually exists. Like there is something over here. How do I know that? Because like this is very simple to search. Similarly, API/load more, it actually exists. Like there is no concatenation behind this, right? It is a simple endpoint. So like this gives you more visibility instead of using a tool like linkfinder or any other tool. If you go through this manual approach, you will get more visibility of the code itself, like how things are working. See, API/load more. Okay, maybe this might be something related to, okay, it has some concatenation as well. So we actually need to like now go through the entire code and try to find what exactly it is concatenating, and then it will give us the proper response. So this is one way of finding endpoints. Sorry, this is the second way of finding the endpoints. Okay, see, ADR/HTML. We also found the same endpoints in a link finder. If you look ADR/HTML, then API/load more. We also found this one previously, API completion.json. So that's how you can find API endpoints.
That's all the question we had for today.
Okay.
That was really in detail explanation given by you, Harsha. And we really thank you on behalf of Cybersecurity India. So I would request Nikhil sir to take over the call.
Yeah, thank you very much, Arundhati ma'am, and thank you very much, Harsh sir, for giving so much of your time, valuable time. And Harsh sir, it was really a detailed session, and the audience has also enjoyed a lot into detail. So whoever has missed out something can revisit a video which will be on YouTube only, and I'll be posting the same on the Telegram channel also. So thank you very much, everyone, once again for attending all the session, and keep learning. Let's meet tomorrow. Thank you very much, Harsh sir.
Thank you, Nikhil sir.
Thank you, sir.